see if there are any changes or things we want to have done differently. We'll start off with the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance and ethics reminder. And we'll go into public comment. On the consent agenda, I would suggest that we bring up the resolution on the organic waste processing. I think that's something that's fairly significant that we want people to know about, if that's all right with the commission. Is that okay? Okay. Let's put that one, can we have somebody, it's third from the bottom. Well, no, it would be the third from the bottom, third from the bottom of the consent agenda. It's basically a agreement that we're in, I think we're gonna put out, is it put out to bid, or is it?
It is a contract.
It's a contract we have to start processing, dealing with the waste of food places. Is that right?
And basically, the city came to us into a partnership and look at the feasibility of doing organic composting.
Great.
From residential and also.
Let's talk about that.
Kathy Ball, Assistant City Manager, is going to be here also.
Wonderful.
Chairman, one of the things that the school capital commission project ordinance just might be lights and also business.
Okay. Good. And I think I saw school board member Lisa Baldwin here. Ms. Baldwin, did add you here. Are there any other elected officials here? Jeff. Very good. Thank you.
Also, Chairman Gannon, somebody could elaborate more on Article 39 about the schools as well.
Yes. So let's just, that's all in the ordinance, right? 39, the ordinance that Commissioner Belcher mentioned. Let's see.
What I was saying is that within the consent agenda is the ordinance for the school, but it's also in the new business. I didn't want people that had read the agenda to get confused between those two, and I just wanted to explain why that was in the consent.
Why don't we just do those at the same time? Would that be appropriate?
And
Let's
then,
just do that.
yeah, and then if we could just
Okay.
elaborate a little bit about Article 39.
Okay, yeah, let's put, Dr., I agree with you. Let's go
Yeah, that's
ahead.
smart.
Let's just put that right with the Enka intermediate school purchase discussion resolution. We will add the school capital, because that is definitely related. Thank you, good eye. And then I would suggest putting the organic waste right above board appointments. We'll just put that towards the end there. Commissioner, former Vice Chair Stanley is not able to be here today, so we're going to postpone his presentation under good news. We do have a proclamation honoring Korean War veterans, and I think Jeff Foster. Jeff will be here too. Thank you for being here with that. Do we have any other, have some vets, Korean vets here? Okay. Okay. Next up, we have public hearing, transfer of the ETJ. Are there, how many people here with the ETJ? Questions? Got a couple people. My guess is we're going to spend more time with Enka Intermediate. How many folks care about the Enka Intermediate School? Okay. Ron, what's that?
Hey, Mr. Fred. How you doing, son?
Fairview. How many folks are interested in that? I'm trying to get
Hey,
a
Miss
case
Bo.
so we might accommodate people that are here. Is there any, you want to move any of this around? I want to do Fairview. Yeah, I kind of go that way. Is Fairview first? Go ahead and do that. Looks like most folks are here for that. And that is one of our public hearings on Mr. Rosenberger here. Okay, he's here too. So let's just, that is the first, let's put that ahead of ETJ. That's acceptable to the commission? Okay, let's do that. Then we'll hear the ETJ. John Creighton's going to talk to us about that. Debbie Tron. There you go, front row, Debbie. Good to see Mr. there. All right, and then under new business, we have the Enka intermediate discussion, and we'll also add the school capital commission fund ordinance.
And what just to make sure Commissioner Straw's point was captured. So as part of this presentation, if there can be some articulation of the Article 39 passage, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so whoever's doing that, yeah.
Okay, good, great. That makes it much more understandable for everybody. Thank you. Then we have the ordinance creating the Buncombe County Cultural and Recreation Authority, and that's Dr. Green going to talk to us about that. There are some proposed amendments that I think, has everyone got a copy of those? Three options there. So we could talk about the statutory requirements, any deadlines, anything we have, timeliness, or general assembly, state law that we need to consider in working on this ordinance. It's probably good to talk about it then. We are going to pull off the voting value. There will be no member of the commission, unless someone speaks up tonight, going to the state annual conference. Vicksburg's nice this time of year. No? Okay. So we'll take that one off totally. For board appointments, we have Asheville-Buncombe Regional Sports Commission. Mr. Hoagland has withdrawn his name, so we have two candidates there. We have Crime Stoppers. We have Commissioner Falk is our representative on Crime Stoppers now. We only have one candidate. If you want to have more candidates, I'll just directly ask you.
No, I'm fine with that.
Okay. Is everyone else fine? Go ahead tonight on that. All right, then we have a potential add-on. We have an appointment on the Pack Place board. And we have our director, Fran Thigpen, has been serving in that capacity. We can add this on if it's already with all the commissioners. I think Commissioner Belcher expressed an interest in that.
I have, but I would prefer to do that.
Okay, all right. All right, unless it's unanimous, we'll do it. That's good. And then we have announcements. Does anybody have any questions about any of the items on the agenda that we kind of moved around a little bit? Moved around a lot, actually. All right. We'll see. Might be too early to say that, Commissioner Brown. All right, looks like we're about time. Any other questions about, and who wants to give the 3 and more veteran proclamation? Or is it, now this is not the one, is this the one for Commissioner Stanley? This is another, okay, this, we're doing Commissioner Stanley separately. Let's see. Okay.
We didn't do any for anybody individually, just an acknowledgement of freedom of red card, there's not anything. Bill was just figured that freedom of red card, that's the one.
Okay. Well, I'd like to see Commissioner Stanley take it. Are you all right with that?
Yeah,
Just put this one off then.
yeah.
I would say that Jeff Foster is here. I believe you submitted the idea of it, and we thank you for that. Mr. Foster gave us the impetus to do this, and a lot of times it's forgotten more, and with good reason, unfortunately. forgot for the men and women who fought in it. So thank you, Mr. Foster, for bringing this to our attention. All right, let's just pull that, and we'll give that to Commissioner Stanley the next meeting then. Okay. Yeah, no. Any other questions?
Seats or anything like that?
Yeah. All right, I think we've done enough change for one night. All right, let's start there, but let's go and get started then. I'd like to call to order the August 6, 2013 meeting of the Buncombe County Board of Commissioners, and as always, we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Please join me.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now for join me in prayer. God, thank you for a wonderful summer season. We're so blessed with moderate four-season weather here, and often fail to appreciate the balance you've given to nature to provide us with flowers, plants, trees, food that provide for all your creatures. As school begins to prepare and get initiated for another year, bless all the students, teachers, administrative staff, principals, and all the parents who care for our future and care for our children, the opportunities they have in education. Thank you for these men and women who sit up here as commissioners. Our community is so fortunate to have a group like this that all care for the county and work hard to make sure we try to enact the best laws we can that help citizens and businesses thrive and spread prosperity to as many people as we can. Give us wisdom and discernment tonight as we take up many issues and proposals that impact many lives, lifestyles, and other decisions. Thank you for the amazing time, place, and chance we have to make a difference and improve our county the best we can. Amen. In accordance with the Code of Ethics adopted by the Commission, it's the duty of every commissioner to avoid both conflicts of interest and appearances of conflict. Does any commissioner know of any known conflict or appearance of conflict with respect to any matter coming before our board today? If not, we will proceed on to public comment. Time limit for any public comment is 3 minutes. Your time expires. You may leave any questions with your name, address, phone number, or email with the county manager, and we'll get back to you. Commissioners are not expected to comment on matters during public comment. The comments should be limited to subjects that are within our jurisdiction or pertain to matters upon which we may act. Any individual speaking during public comment shall address the entire commission. Any polling of commissioners is inappropriate. Persons addressing the commission are expected to observe the decorum of the chamber and to be respectful for everyone in the room. Any person who willfully interrupts, disturbs, or disrupts the session will be asked to leave the meeting. And the commission reserves the right to deny any public address on any subject previously presented to the commission. If you will give your name and where you live, we'll start public comment. Who'd like to have part of public comment tonight? Yes, ma'am. Second row. We'll go over here.
My name is Amanda Cole. I live at 156 Black Oak Drive. My comments are very short tonight. I would like to, on behalf of all the residents up there, thank Warner Green, Matt Stone, Jerry Behan, Kurt Mueller. We're the house is sliding. And really thank all the county personnel. We're a small community, but I know we've been a large volume of phone calls and emails, and everybody has been very responsive, and I know we're moving forward, and we just wanted to thank the county staff very much.
Thank you so much. We are sorry about the actions and everything that's going on there. Any other public comment? And I would remind everybody, if people are here on any of the ETJ or the Charlotte Highway rezoning request, we're going to have a public hearing on that. So while you're welcome to get up now, it might be more appropriate to talk during the public hearing, because that's what we're going to be focused in on now. So any other public comment tonight? Mr. Rice? Go ahead, ma'am, on the third row, you're welcome. Lisa, okay, Lisa Baldwin, come in. Ms. Baldwin is a member of the Buncombe County Board of Education. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you. I live in Fairview. My name's Lisa Baldwin. I'm here because you're voting to approve the purchase price for Enka Intermediate School property. I sympathize with the overcrowding at the Enka Middle School, but I have many concerns and unanswered questions regarding the build of yet another intermediate school. School boards are to vet decisions and ensure that the optimal solution is reached. Our board has not done this regarding the situation at Enka Middle School. There's been no parent interest survey. There's been no public hearing. This is a top-down decision made by the Buncombe County School Central Office administrators, which they expect to be rubber-stamped by a board majority. We've seen no data showing that intermediate schools are the best approach to education. We also have seen no financial data concerning the operating costs of this school. Just because we have $22 million sitting in a bank account that's earmarked for construction of schools and debt repayment does not mean we have to spend it. In fact, a bill was proposed in this last legislative session to make that Article 39 sales tax revenue more flexible so it could be spent on digital learning, teacher professional development, other things like that. And I'd love to see this board support that bill going into the next session. It did not make it for passage in this past session. But as you know, bricks and mortar is not as important as teaching and learning and focusing dollars on the classroom. So the bottom line is that there are too many unanswered questions to approve the purchase of land for an Enka Intermediate. I would like to encourage this board to ask for a professional capacity study to be conducted for all Buncombe County schools before proceeding to approve the Enka Intermediate site. Ask the Buncombe County Board of Education to look at other options that are less expensive but will achieve a win-win situation. Back in 2008, it seems what was needed in the Robertson district was not an intermediate school but an elementary school. There are only 3 elementary schools there, while other similar-sized Buncombe County feeder districts have 4 to 5 elementary schools. So when Koontz was built, it could now be changed to a 4-5 school or an elementary school to accommodate students in the Enka district. Only a small number of Enka students could be redrawn into the Robertson district. The Robertson district would then have surplus capacity in all their schools, most likely, if Koontz became a 4-5 school or an elementary school. This is not going to cost $22 million to build.
Thank you. And thank you for your service on the board. Any other public comment? Yes, ma'am, Michelle Pacewood.
Hi, thank you so much. My name is Michelle Pacewood. I do have a daughter in the Enka School District. Thank you so much for listening and for taking this up today. This is a really important issue. There's been a lot of misinformation about the Enka Middle School. A lot of folks are saying things like it's a bureaucratic process, for instance, or that it's not something that the parents have had input on, this school board actually voted, and if you go back through the record in the least strict, or in the solution that they voted on back in '07, the school should have been built last year, and it was not started. I understand there were some problems, financial problems, and things changed, other things came up. But they already voted on this, and they already got a parent survey, because they surveyed all 3 school districts when that happened. So we have been patiently waiting for this school to be built. We understand in that district that fiscal responsibility is important. We now are in a situation where we have 3 other elementary schools that are starting to become overcrowded, one of which will be at crisis level per the last school board fiscal report they did in 2 years. Enka Middle has always been very, very overcrowded. It's been the high school in the 50s, and then it was changed, they added on. And if you look at the data, it is the most overcrowded middle school west of Charlotte. And there's a reason that those are not at that capacity. It's too easy for kids to become anonymous at Enka Middle. Enka High has a low graduation rate. I know you guys look for that and work for that. If you're anonymous in middle school, you're not engaged when you go to high school. We feel like it's really important. If you build this school, when you do, and I hope you'll vote to go ahead and buy this land, you're going to solve 4 school crowding problems with 1 bill. It is the fiscally responsible decision to do. We know that the parents out there have supported it. We've all been waiting patiently. We appreciate you finally taking a look at this. We would appreciate you voting for the land tonight. If you wait, it would have been $18.2 million if you'd done it when you first did it. Now it's 22. The longer you wait, the more expensive. This bill is coming. It is coming, no matter what. And let's go ahead and pay it now when it's cheaper for all the schools and cheaper to buy. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wood. Any other public comment tonight? Yes, sir. In the back.
Thank you. My name is John Sutton. I'm also a Candler resident and a parent of 2 children that are in Harmony Valley Elementary School. I'm here tonight to, speak on behalf of the parents and business owners in Candler. We support this school being built. The studies have been done. We've been waiting for the school. I want to thank the commissioners that have worked hard and the school board to get this project back on the agenda and back moving forward. We don't want to see a step backwards. I just want to thank you for your vote yes tonight and keep this project moving forward.
Any other public comment? Right?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. On the intermediate school, I've lived in Enka all my life, and we welcome something, not necessarily this particular school, or this particular site. This particular site I want to speak to because Ms. Baldwin has been beat up over the years for talking about environmental issues. Well, you're looking at a man that can read you several thousand pages of environmental issues related to the BASF property. And this particular piece of property for the school district has got the Hominy Creek running through it. And it's one of the most contaminated creeks in Buncombe County. And it's going to stay that way for some time. And it runs around the property and it goes through the bottom side of the property. So how accessible is the kids going to be to this creek and other contamination? Not only that, you're looking at an aquatic center in the future of $30 million, and you're going to be putting things in there that is going to be contamination, looking at contamination as well. People that's getting up here and asking for the school, talking about the school, listen, this is a commercial district. You know, it's hard to find commercial property, not commercial, but industrial property. Why don't we leave it as commercial and industrial and find a place for the school in a good location and not put our kids at risk, not only from the environmental point of view, and I've got data to support what I'm saying. You can get any study you want to support, and we'll hear from the superintendent that they drilled a little 40-foot hole and a 50-foot hole. You'll hear all this, but it's going to say exactly what you want to hear. This thing has been done in reverse. It usually goes to the school board and you hear all these things, and then it comes over here. I'm afraid it's not been to the extent of what we've been hearing tonight. But my concern is very much about the environmental issues, and it's not about this little study that's been done. So don't, whatever the superintendent had to say about that, don't confuse that with what I've got to say. Because I've talked to the people in Raleigh, and I've already filed complaints, not complaints, but in my public comment to the brownfield site on this property. And let me tell you, that the head chief in Raleigh said it was heavily contaminated at BASF. Now, that's on the basin. This basin runs at the lower end of this school property in a long stretch. So we've got some more work to be done here. And I'm happy to work on it with you. I'll sit down and talk to any one of you if you'd like to, because I don't think the data has been given to you. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Rice. Through the public, yes, ma'am, in the back.
Thank you, Commissioners. I am Emily Sutton-Desio. I'm here to support the approval of the 5-6 school in Enka. I'm a business owner, and I live in Enka Village. Enka Village is directly across the street from the pro site. I'm a member of the Enka Park Commission, and I'm also a member of the Enka Candler Business Co-op. And I can tell you in all of our meetings, we all support the funding of the school, and we support the hard work we're doing, support the hard work of the school board. I'm a parent of a 4-year-old, and I hope she can attend this school. You really can't focus on learning and teaching when there aren't enough chairs in the classroom. And the Enka 5-6 school is a fiscally responsible solution to a problem addressing 3 schools. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sutton. Any other comments tonight? Seeing none, we'll go to our first public hearing, which is the rezoning request on the Rosenberger Charlotte Highway from RLD to NS. We'll have Debbie Crumpy to talk about the background behind this.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, did you mean to skip over the consent agenda items for
Oh,
approval?
thank you. I'm sorry, I sure did. Is there a motion to adopt the, thank you, Mr. Britt. Is there a motion to follow the agenda, including adoption of the consent agenda items with the exception of the resolution on the organic waste and the school capital fund project that we pulled up and discussed in more detail? Then a motion by Commissioner Frost, there's a second by Vice Chair Jones to follow our amended agenda as I have discussed. Is there any discussion among the commissioners? If not, all those in favor of following the agenda as revised, say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. The motion carries 7-0. Now we're ready to go with the public hearing on the rezoning request. We're going to start with Debbie Trumpy to tell us a little bit about the background and what has happened up to this point.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. C. Darrell Rosenberger has applied to rezone a portion of tax lot pin 9677212223, which is approximately 6 acres, from RLD, residential low density, to NS, neighborhood service district. The subject property is located at the southeast corner of the intersection of Charlotte Highway and Cedar Mountain Road, and is currently wooded and undeveloped. The planning department is recommending denial of this application. The tract is steep with an average natural slope of over 42% and has both steep slope, high elevation, and protected ridge zoning overlays. The surrounding area is comprised of other large undeveloped tracts of land and residential development. The nearest commercially zoned property is approximately 2,000 feet away to the east and to the west of the property. This rezoning could be viewed as a spot zoning by the courts, as it does not include several property owners nor a large amount of land in relation to the surrounding area. The proposed map amendment would not be consistent with the Buncombe County Comprehensive Land Use Plan, as the 2006 update indicates that the RLD, Low-Density Residential District, is primarily intended to provide locations for low-density residential and related type development in areas where topographic or other constraints preclude intense urban development. RLD is the appropriate zoning classification for this property given the topography of the site. NS would not be appropriate, as the portion that has been requested to be rezoned has a slope greater than 33% and contains steep slope high elevation overlay districts. The requested zoning would not be reasonable nor in the public interest, as it would allow a commercial use to encroach into an area characterized by low-density residential development. The planning board held a public hearing on this application on June 17th. 3 people spoke during public comment, and all were against the proposed rezoning. The speakers expressed concerns about traffic safety and volume, noise and light pollution, stormwater runoff, and the loss of a critical wildlife corridor. The planning department has continued to receive communications about this application, and they've all been against this rezoning. The planning board, after deliberations, did find that the proposed rezoning would be reasonable and in the public interest and would be consistent with the land use plan, as NS is designed to allow for a mix of residential, commercial, business, and service uses in limited areas at key intersections leading to residential neighborhoods. The planning board voted to recommend approval of this on a 4-to-1 vote. There is a complicated zoning history for this piece of property that I'd like to tell you about. In 2007, when we were developing countywide zoning, this property was proposed to be RLD. During that process, it was allowed for people to request a zoning other than what had been proposed for their property. And the owner did request an S for the property. The planning staff looked at it and, given the topography and surrounding area, denied that request, which was appealed to the planning board. The planning board at that hearing compromised, basically, and said the front along 74 can be NS, the middle part would be R3 residential, and the back part, the steepest part, still remain RLD. So when 2007 countywide zoning was adopted, that parcel had 3 different zoning districts. After the appeals court nullified that 2007 zoning, we were advised by our attorneys to review those zoning maps for anything that the court would consider spot zoning. And we did identify that as something that would be considered spot zoning. And when the 2009 zoning was adopted, that parcel was zoned as RLD. Right after that zoning was adopted in early 2010, the owner applied to rezone that parcel to NS again. The planning board at that point did recommend approving the rezoning, but the board of commissioners at their public hearing denied that application. Later in that year, in October of 2010, we adopted the zoning overlays. And this parcel has both the steep slope high elevation and the protected ridge overlays on it. The part that is being requested for the rezoning does have steep slope and high elevation overlays. I'd be happy to address any questions you have from right now.
Any questions for Ms. Strong?
This property, I've been watching it for quite a few years. But before zoning come into effect, it was for sale for business. Then zoning come into effect, it was put on, then it was illegal, but it was commercial. Then when the zoning went away, then it came back, then it came to this board, again, 5 of them, with the planning board saying it could be commercial, but then 5 voted that it couldn't be commercial. Then the gentleman, I sat and watched, because I drive that way every day, I watched him take his paintbrush and paint commercial off of it. Well, the facts that are forgotten in this whole issue is we've got cedar cliffs down the mountain, or whatever. I live in Winston. But we have people that send us a bunch of emails, and I appreciate every one of them. But I still look at the side of the property rights of the people that own the property. This man spent $100,000 to get sewer up to that point that tied into, what was the name of that? Cedar Cliffs, on Charlotte Highway there. So it runs from one side of the road up to that side of the road, and this man spent $100,000 plus. We forget the man lost his property in the process because once this board took it from commercial down to housing, that took the value of the property away. So not only one sign I've seen up there, I saw a sign where it went into foreclosure. Now how it's all come back around, this is before I was commissioner, you just watch properties and it's the top of the mountain. I've looked at the maps, it can be worked out. I live in a development that we had an option before zoning come in to buy some property to tie to our subdivision. We didn't buy it, but we ended up with 4 apartments, with 4 apartments each in it. Plus in the flat area next to the street, there is warehouses. But what we did, we just put a fence up. So we had an option. And now we give people the option to tell us what we need to do with our land. That's the problem that just one commissioner, whatever that commissioners think, we are telling people what they can do with their land. I see people that live on steep slopes, it's already there, that don't want a house on that slope over there the other side because that tears their view shed up. I was totally against the zoning to start with. We have trailers next to the development end. It has not hurt my property value any, the development that I live in. We have, you pull out of our development, there's a little business on the left that sells tires. Good for them. That brings money in Fairview. When you're telling people that they can't put something, that's taking our tax revenue away. Somebody come in there and spend $1 million, say on a nice condo that could be developed in that area. I mean, I sat and watched an area that was a whole mountain taken away down there at the foot where they sell the cemetery stones, but we've approved it for a hotel. And how they're going to get it in there, I don't know, because they took half the mountain away, so they're going to have to build one of the high walls behind it. I don't want an 80-foot wall in Fairview again. I saw that. I don't see that happening here. But basically, the man's just wanting to try to make a living and sell his property. If there's something wrong with that, I have a problem. It's a simple fact. There's too much in this issue. I understand a lot of people's against it. The only thing I'm against is we had an option in my development to buy a partial, and we didn't buy it, but it hasn't affected us in any way, shape, or form except we put the fence up. If the people don't want it, then the best thing I can say is they just need to buy it. We're giving people options, 20 people options to send emails to us to tell us what we need to do. I don't feel comfortable with it, and that's just the way I feel. There's more to this than the story says.
Thanks, Mr. Farr. Any other questions for Ms. Strong? If not, thank you. We'll start our public hearing. We'll give any members of the public that would like to be heard. We'll take about a 3-minute time limit. If you have any other information, you can leave it with us. We have heard from a lot of folks, and thank you for talking to us about your concerns here. And now's your time to talk to us before we close the public hearing and take a vote. The time now to start the public hearing at 4:58. Any members of the public wish to be heard? Yes, sir. And I'll tell you what, once you go next, you gentlemen in the 4th row, you'll go first, Mr. Ty, and we'll just have you sit on the front row if you could over here. let's get the number of people that want to speak. Let's go, you behind the post can't see you now. You take the first seat. Sir, you with the hat, you'll leave your hat, you'll get the second seat. And you on the other side, man, with the white shirt, we'll have you have the third seat next to Ms. Crumpy. We'll take you in order, and then we'll go take another look at it after we get started. Thanks, sir. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. We will get organized here.
Hello,
Give me your name and where you live, sir.
Hello, I'm Alan Helmuth. I've lived in Fairview for 30 years this October. I've been a top producing North Carolina realtor for 30 years, now with Keller Williams, specializing in Fairview. I've sold hundreds of homes, thousands of acres, most of which I'm deed restricted. I've done everything I could to help and protect Fairview. Every property anyone sold on Highway 74A had commercial prices with commercial value. Department of Transportation took property to 5-lane Highway 74A in 2000 and assured everyone that they were leaving us with commercial potential and value. I'm here to plead my case because I feel there's been a real injustice done in zoning. I used to own this 10-acre tract, and now I'm a partner with the new owner, Darrell Rosenwood. I had this property listed for sale as commercial in open use zoning with engineered building plans. August 2004, I paid to run the sewer to this property at a cost of $200,000 and received a 97,500 gallon sewer allotment from Buncombe County. Later, Southcliff tied onto it and helped me with the cost. In 2007, when Buncombe County zoned the Metropolitan Sewage District, which I'm now in, Southcliff was granted 20 acres commercial. My 10 acres was zoned residential low density. I appealed to have 6 acres of 10 acres zoned in neighborhood services, knowing I would never get commercial. The planning board and the commissioners approved neighborhood services on this property. But then the zoning was kicked out. In 2010, when Buncombe County had again zoned the Metropolitan Sewage District, my 10 acres was again zoned residential low density. I appealed again, and the planning board approved neighborhood services. Commissioners did not. This is a prime 6-acre tract located on a corner intersection. It has public water, sewer, gas, electric, cable, etc., with DOT curb access onto Highway 74A. This property has 700-foot road frontage on a 5-lane Highway 74A, 600-foot frontage on state-maintained Cedar Mountain Road, and rear access on Atherton. This property is bordered by a cell tower and a large city water reservoir tank with right-of-way on Atherton through this property. I don't feel like this is spot zoning. This property is separated from the other commercial because of topography. Every property around this, up and down the highway, is steep, either straight uphill or straight downhill, which would also prevent the spreading of commercial development in the future. This corner property at a main intersection is terraced in 3 plateaus and is perfect location for small neighborhood services. It has large neighborhoods all around it. This zoning change will not only increase the tax revenue for the county, it will benefit the community. Again, for the 3rd time, the planning board has approved neighborhood service for the 6-acre tract. I hope the commissioner will.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
I'm David Holt, I live on Fairview, and my concern about this is the fact that you're creating a traffic hazard there. I would invite all of you to go drive up Mine Hole Gap, come over the top, turn around and come back and just see what a blind hill that is coming down. We live on Cedar Mountain Road, so when you come out of Cedar Mountain Road, I invite you to turn in there and then try to turn left out of there. Putting a development in there like you're talking about, or he's talking about, with commercial and residential, is going to create a great deal of traffic wreck. It's a very dangerous place. Our daughter was killed on Highway 74, right out, in another curve, and since that curve's been rectified by the state, they cleared that up. You're going to have to clear this one up too, if you make this, if you vote this in, because there's going to be accidents there. There was a young woman killed, a young girl killed, and her mother seriously injured, just 100 yards from where we're talking about this development being, just 3 months ago. You need to drive out there and look at it. It's not a safe place for a commercial development. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Hall. It's good to see you again. Yes, sir.
My name's Jeremy Jones. I live on Cedar Mountain Road, and this has got more to do with putting up fences, just like the gentleman mentioned. It is a hazard. You're looking down a double-barreled shotgun and you turn left, that's Cedar Mountain. And it's just before the crest of the hill. We've got runoff from that disaster that was created up the road to Chestnut Mountain that still has not been, it's still falling today. There's, it's a scenic highway. All this stuff was brought up 3 years ago, and there hadn't been nothing changed. We're not planting any more trees, so we're still got the last bit of the woods before the Swanville Valley. So I'm here today to say I oppose this and would like to see it not ever be brought up again.
Thank you, Mr. Jennings. Who else wants to be heard on this? Let me get Lady Purple and the three people, just you three together. Y'all come on up. You and Jim, okay, you three first, and then we'll hear from, I'll tell you what, you go ahead, you're close, you go ahead.
My name is Frank Workman. I live on Butler Mountain, which is the mountain that is serviced by Cedar Mountain Road. We have 3 subdivisions up there. There are representatives here, I think, from all 3 of the subdivisions. We're representing about 80 different lots and about 60 different people. All of the reasons that the staff for planning and zoning gave are accurate. We shouldn't be even considering this. I'm confused by what P&Z board did because they didn't take into account anything that they said. It's a dangerous intersection. It's going to cause water runoff across a road where the guy who lives there where the downhill comes in to Cedar Mountain just had to fix his driveway because of the drainage problem. And it's not, they haven't paid that bill yet. I would urge you, and I've got some photographs with me, if you're not sure about the slope of this land, first of all, take a look at the map that your staff gave you, because if you look at the little topographical lines, you'll see how steep this is. But photos from the air will also show you how steep it is. It's going to be ugly, because if you sit on the overpass at the East Asheville Home Depot, you can see the cell tower and everything that's in front of it. So you're going to be able to see this from there.
Yes, ma'am.
My name is Gina Donatelli Maselli, and I own land off of my husband off of Cedar Mountain Road, and we hope to build a house there someday and raise a family there. And nothing terrifies me more than the thought that this dangerous stretch of road could get even more dangerous for the family that we hope to raise there someday. Like I said, it's a blind curve. It's a very steep road. When it rains, the water just runs down it, kind of like a slide or water park. And cars, just every time it rains, you expect to see someone run into the rock wall because it happens almost every single time. And the thought of additional entrances to business further complicating those traffic patterns is a nightmare. And I'm just here on behalf of myself and my family and friends who live in Fairview to urge you to please deny this. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Donatelli. Yes, ma'am. Yes. Y'all side.
Hi there, my name is Darren Stewart, and I live on Cedar Mountain Road, just around the bend from the main intersection that has been spoken of, which is not a main intersection, it's a side road that comes off the hill. My wife and I moved there from Nashville in 2009, and we've been very happy to live in this neighborhood in the mountains with the mature forests and wildlife, clear, starry nights, and quiet. Rezoning this property at the crest of Mine Hole Gap as commercial would have a negative impact on all the things we find valuable in this neighborhood. The effects of rezoning would lead to an increase in noise pollution from the cutting down of trees, construction, increased traffic congestion, and possibly from whatever business is built on the parcel. We still have no idea what that's going to be. Soil erosion and runoff from the site is inevitable and it would affect the health of Gaseous Creek, which runs through the base of that property and follows 74 to the Swanville River. Soil erosion and the resulting runoff will also lead to increased costs in road maintenance and the property degradation for surrounding neighbors. We'd see the loss of mature forests and a critical wildlife corridor on a mountain that is not only located on an historic scenic byway, but that can be seen all the way from I-40. There would be an increase in light pollution in our neighborhood from the resulting development, and and there would be an increase in traffic hazards and congestion at the end of our road. Unfortunately, the planning board totally dismissed these and other concerns, as well as the clear analysis and recommendation of the planning department. There's no substantive discussion or debate about the merits or demerits of rezoning, and it seemed clear they were not familiar with the property or the surrounding area. In the end, what swayed them was that the property owner had invested money in the property. And had I been able to speak again, I would have pointed out to the planners that my wife and I didn't get our house for free. We in fact made a 30-year investment, and our neighbors have made like investments. My next question would have been, will the owner and his partner still be there in 30 years, or even 2 years, or will they have made their money and moved on, leaving me and my wife and the rest of the neighborhood to deal with the fallout from this business deal and unsuitable development? So I ask you, commissioners, have some forethought in this matter. Please follow the analysis and recommendation of the Department of Planning to deny rezoning. Please respect the residents' overwhelming stance against allowing commercial development to encroach into our neighborhood. Please respect the surrounding natural environment that we live in and enjoy, and that so many others also enjoy as they pass through every day. Please respect our safety, our quality of life, and the investments we've made in our properties and our neighborhood.
Thank you, Mr. Scrooge.
Hi, my name is Jen K. Young. I'm an Asheville native. I was born and raised in Fairview. I left Fairview for 5 years in order to go to college. I have a bachelor's in science with a minor in geology. My main concern here is the environment. I left school for 5 years. I only got to come home on the weekends, and every weekend I came home, there was something new being built, more dangers being produced by the developments. The highways only gotten more dangerous. Whenever I was in 6th grade, during my English class, I heard the sirens go off in order to blow up the mountain to make the 5-lane highway. We all thought it was a blessing originally because it would take an hour to get to school because of the traffic being backed up. Whenever I was 13 years old, I was at a Halloween party, and right as the road was being built, I went outside, and one of my friends decided, I don't know why, he decided to go over to the food line to get something to drink and come back, not alcohol, we were 13. On his way back, he didn't see a car coming, and he got hit by a car on 74. I was 13 years old and had to watch one of my best friends get killed and roll over the top of a car and fall into a ditch. One of the last things I want to see happen to Fairview is too much further development. I don't mind if you pick a flat piece of land. I don't mind if it's on the road. What I do care about is the safety of our community. I plan on raising children here. I'm 26 years old. My parents brought us here, and whenever I left for college, I thought I was going to leave forever. And it's whenever I left that I truly gained an appreciation for Fairview. I had every opportunity to go to New York City and do internships with photographers. That's what I do. I was actually begged at one point, but I wanted Fairview. I wanted my slice of heaven. I'm about to own a house. My life savings are going to go into that. And I really honestly can't deal with somebody getting hurt because of this happening. Cedar Mountain Road is one of the most terrifying roads to be not only on to drive from Emmons Grove Road to the end that connects to 74, but in order to pull out of Cedar Mountain on 74, it's almost like playing Russian roulette. You don't know if there's a car coming until you're out of the road. I do not like going down this road myself. It will cause bad drainage, which is already existing. There are a few drainages as it is, and most of the time they're clogged. They never get cleaned. Actually, yesterday I saw somebody cleaning them up. That was the first time I've ever seen that. And just mainly, I want us to keep our community beautiful. And like I said, I don't mind if it's on the road, and I don't mind if it's on a flat piece of land. It doesn't need to be in a dangerous place. And I understand if he spent the money on the property, as have I with my own, and he shouldn't be told what to do. But this is for the safety of him and whoever will, reside.
Thank you, Ms. Young.
Thank you.
Who else wants to be heard? Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir, Beard, and the lady next to Mr. Scrooge. Anybody else? Y'all come on up. We'll start, sir.
Good evening. Thanks for the opportunity to speak. I was here 3 years ago.
Name where you live.
I'm sorry. My name is Steve Schmeiser. I live in Fairview. I'm here representing my wife and I, who are Fairview residents. I'm also here representing the North Carolina Wildlife Federation as the past president of the local chapter called Mountain Wild. As I was saying, I was here 3 years ago. I was at the planning board meeting in June. And I share the views expressed by Mr. Sturge that the planning board meeting was a little bit strange. And I didn't feel the issues were explored by the planning board. I wanted to say that nothing has changed since the zoning was denied 3 years ago. The current zoning is correct. It's a scenic ridgeline property. It has steep slopes, stormwater runoffs really are a problem. Adjoining parcels are all residential. Rezoning would clear cut a minimum of 6 acres. That's close to 6 football fields. Think about that. A huge scar on the mountain, at the top of the mountain, visible from the entire Asheville Basin. I came here 3 years ago, and I'm here again tonight on behalf of the North Carolina Wildlife Federation to say that this parcel is in the middle of a wildlife migration corridor. This corridor was designated by the Land of Sky Regional Council, of which Buncombe County is a member, during the Linking Lands and Communities study that I was a part of several years ago. We selected this as a critical wildlife migration corridor for 2 reasons. It is an existing wildlife migration corridor. We felt it would be protected because of the zoning in the master plan. Does only allow for low density development. We felt the tree canopy would remain. But the second major reason that we selected it is it is the only remaining wildlife corridor south of Asheville in Buncombe County that essentially goes east and west. So this parcel would cut half of that out. You may remember, Mr. Gant and Ms. Jones, that 3 years ago, the owners of the adjacent parcel, which I think is 18 to 20 acres, that's finishing the crest and down into Fairview, they were here and they were denied rezoning. They'll be back if you approve this one. And we'll have lost the entire wildlife corridor. I would close by saying I did some research on this property. Mr. Rosenberger purchased it on March 22nd of this year. He knew how it was zoned. And he's a resident of Florida. He hasn't been at any of the hearings. I would invite him to move up and live on his parcel. We would welcome him as a taxpayer in our community. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Kendra Sarvati. I live at 35 Cedar Mountain Road with my husband Darren. And I know that some of the folks that have already spoken have talked about how the traffic is a huge concern, so I'm just gonna reiterate that I agree, but I'm not going to recap it really. I do want to point out though that according to the definition of a neighborhood service district, it should be compatible with the residential character of the area. It shouldn't add to traffic congestion. It shouldn't cause noise or dust or odors or fire hazards, or lighting objectionable to surrounding residents. And it shouldn't visually detract from the appearance of the neighborhood. And I think another fellow mentioned that just after you turn onto our road, there is actually a residence directly across the way from the parcel in question. And there are 3 homes up on Atherton Way that overlook the parcel directly, and I think that they would all be very affected in those ways by any development in that area. And I think that all of us who live there would find the character of our neighborhood drastically changed by this development. It's a quiet and densely forested residential area, and we live there because we value those qualities. We talked with many of our neighbors in recent weeks and to make sure that they knew about this proposal, and no one liked the idea of a commercial development at the end of our road. And I don't want to speak for any of those folks, but I personally think our neighborhood is already very well serviced by the neighborhood service district at the bottom of the hill. There's an Ingles and a CVS and gas stations and a handful of restaurants. And when I drove by recently, there were also about 7 vacancies. So I think that there are plenty of spaces for potential business owners to provide more services to those neighborhoods. And Also, I think that neighborhood services is kind of a misleading term here. I don't think the owner really wants to provide services to our neighborhood, and if he did, you know that we're not really interested. I think he made some investments that maybe didn't work out like he thought, but that's not our fault, and the neighborhood shouldn't be expected to help him defray those costs. And to conclude, my husband and I took a petition around because we thought there might be some folks that wouldn't be able to make it today. And I'll give the petition to you, but I just want to summarize the results. We petitioned from the intersection of Cedar Mountain Road and 74A all the way up to the base of the Cheston Mountain Development at Winterview Drive. And it's pretty much the neighborhood that's in closest proximity to the lot in question. We spoke with most of the folks. Out of the 25 homes in the area, 23 are occupied. 4 weren't home whenever we visited. We went at least 3 times. 2 of the households didn't support it, but didn't want to sign because they wanted more info. And 1 could see both sides of the issue and was neither for nor against. So that leaves 16 households or 22 residents right in this area who are strongly opposed to it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mrs. Martin. Any other public comment tonight? Yes, ma'am, white shirt.
Good afternoon, my name is Petra Essoger and I live on Butler Mountain. I'm one of the Reddit Floridians. We have a second home in Butler Mountain Estates. I live there with my sister just on and off the year. We love it any time of the year. And I thoroughly oppose the proposed rezoning. I agree with everything that's been said to support that opposition. And also, from my impression of Reynolds Village, there's so much space there for businesses to start up, and so many businesses start up and disappear, that to me it doesn't seem the economy at this time supports another neighborhood services development. I totally agree with the dangerous traffic situation with the runoff. Cedar Mountain Road was was talking to the county commissioners could really do with resurfacing and should really be regraded, but that's not it. But there's really no, in my mind, no viable reason for there to be more neighborhood services. So please consider our quality of life, consider the natural resource that's dwindling fast, and please oppose this rezoning. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Any other public comment? Yes, ma'am, in the purple. Anybody else besides this lady? Okay. Somebody, okay, just come on up and have a seat in the batter's box there.
Hello, I'm Karen Fry, and I live off of Cedar Mountain Road, and I just wanted to share my concerns. Wildlife corridor, it is, I've seen 2 bears in the past 3 years, walking on Cedar Mountain Road. They probably cross 74 when they're going north, and it's an all wooded steep bank. The road, Cedar Mountain Road, where it hits 74, it's really hard to pull out there. I've got 2 teenage daughters, and it's scary when they go to high school, Reynolds High School. They have to pull out, cross 2 lanes of traffic. There's 2 other lanes coming over the mountain. We really can't see them. Ask them to pull in the middle lane, and there's a lot of times where you think it's clear, you start to pull out, and somebody's coming, 60 miles an hour over the gap there, and it's dangerous. I can't imagine having more traffic at the top of that mountain pulling out, and I'm concerned about that. The runoff, there's water on Cedar Mountain Road. It freezes in the wintertime. There's a lot of debris and sand that runs off the mountain there, and they're having problems with it now. Every time it rains, we've got water and gravel and dirt, and it makes the road very dangerous. And I think that land is really steep. Again, I wouldn't mind if the owner wants to build a house, that's great, but it's really steep land, and I don't think it needs to be commercial or a multifamily dwelling. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Fry. Yes, ma'am.
I'm Kristen St. Clair, and I live on 11 Atherton Way, that nice little gravel road we've been talking. And that's my gravel that goes down. But there are only 3 of us that live on there, so there really isn't a reason to pave it. So that's okay. I grew up on a farm. I'm good with it. I'm also a tree hugger, just so you know who I am. And I really am trying to think down the road for our future generations. These young couples who spoken, they're planning on having their families here, and I have 3 grandchildren. I was your neighbor for a while. And I really would like to see us do something for the future. Everything is not about the almighty dollar. And I completely understand where you're coming from. My family owns property over in Maryland, and we went through the same thing. We wanted to zone part of the property commercial. Lots of people in the community didn't want it that way. And I voted against it because I did not want to add to that. I wanted to be able to go home as an adult and not have commercial property there. I wanted to go home to my farm. I wanted it to be a farm. A little idealistic, but, I was hopeful. And, I can see the same thing with this. I have bears come to my back door. I'm not afraid. And deer, wild turkeys, chipmunks, all kinds of birds. And what I did in Maryland was voted against my own inheritance because I decided the money was not as important to me as making a future for the land and future generations. And I just think it takes more than just thinking now in this little box of the money and the scheme, and we can just think about the future of our children.
Thank you, Ms. Sinclair. Any other public comment tonight? If not, I'll declare the public hearing closed at 5:26. Any comments with commissioners? Comments or motions?
I'd like to make a motion to deny the request. And I'd like a comment as well.
Okay, let's go ahead and get, is there a second to the motion, then I'll get comments.
Second.
The motion by Commissioner Frost, a second by Vice Chair Jones. Comments from commissioners?
I drove out and looked at this land, and I had the pleasure of having my 11-year-old granddaughter with me, and she lives in the Lewis Post in behind where the big wall is, as you all are familiar with. And she asked what we were doing, and I said, we're checking this out because someone wants to eventually build a lot of stuff there. And we looked at the quiet houses, she said how peaceful it was. And then as we were leaving, we took about 15 minutes to get back on 74. And I said, well, that was kind of scary, wasn't it? And she said, Grandma, this isn't going to work. And for all the reasons everyone has said, it just doesn't fit. Fellow commissioners before me have worked very hard for steep slopes. We need to honor that, and we need to honor the community.
Yeah. I went out today and looked at this property. I drove by it many times, but I really didn't know exactly where it was. And I turned on Cedar Mountain Road and went up, drove around, and then I came out. Went out on the road, and I listened to everybody, listened to the concerns of the seller. And the property can be sold. The concern is rezoning it and selling it for this purpose. It can be sold now as it is, and be sold for residential. And I've been real torn with this all day because I believe that I'm kind of in between when it comes to a lot of things on zoning. I don't think you should tell anybody what they can do on their own property when it comes to their private residence, but this means money to be sold for to generate income for the buyer, and I'm cool with that. But it is a very difficult site. If it was smaller and you were doing neighborhood services close to the road, it was farther up, and make it more safer, then that might be okay. And maybe with the 6 acres was involved, it was more like that. But for this full 10-acre site, the slope is a real issue there, and for that reason, I'm this board.
These are always difficult decisions on zoning. We try to take into account everyone's needs, desires, and rights. But with right comes responsibility. And as I sit here, I think about the Great Wall of Fairview across the road and how badly that went. And I'm in the absence of myself being a civil engineer or a geologist, I can't determine what the impact would be to this property if you started grading on it. Also in the absence of knowing what project they would like to put there, and I don't believe there is one, it gives me great pause to vote for this. And so if I have to sit here and have the responsibility to make a decision on this, I'm going to err on the side of caution, and I won't be supporting this.
Any other comments?
Yes.
Mr. Fryer?
I've lived in this area for 23 years. I pull out in that road every day. I live real close to Old Fort Road. I pull out, I make it. Yes, there's wrecks there. There's people get killed, but there is on all roads. You know, there's a way to make it safer up there with this property owner. If they move some of the property, they can actually move this road up the hill a little bit to make it better if they can work something out with the state to make it work. But just saying that we cannot do something, when we got a planning board that made a decision 4-1 that this could be that way, why do we have it? You know, why do we have a planning board? Then we go against them. I've been there more than one time. I've watched the signs go up. I lived there when it's a 2-lane road. I watched them blow off all the rock off the mountain, probably in the lady's house that is at the foot of the mountain. But yes, there's been wrecks. There's a child killed, and it was toward the foot of the mountain. I travel it every single day. Don't want anybody killed on any roads. When they took the asphalt up and repaved when it's regular asphalt compared to the asphalt that they had that the water run off, that's bad. But we've all lived through, I lived through the 2 lanes. It was beautiful up the mountain, the trees laid across the road, and you couldn't get across the mountain hardly period in the wintertime because somebody would be against the guardrail trying to get up through there. We got a 5-lane road. There's ways that lights can be put in. But there's ways that the people, oh yes there is. There's a little, they put a light there no different than they did down at Devlin in the curve down there, and you put a flashing light when it's going to be red. That's why that was put in down at the other end down there. So I'm probably going to be by myself up here, but I'm for a property rights owner. That's where I'm at. As I said, we could have bought the property next to us. They put storage buildings, they put 4 apartments. There's trailers there. There's a little business out front. That little business, they sell tires. There's another one. More than one business, but you got to look at Old Fort Road. There's a stone place there. When you come out of it, yes, there was a terrible bad wreck there here a while back. It's in a curve too. But there's still a business there on the corner of Old Fort Road. So telling somebody that this is exactly what they need to do, when they went before the boards, they paid again, and the board decided 4-1 that this is what should be done, I have to go along with the board. And that's just the way it'll be on my end. So, thank you.
Any other comments? One thing I'd add to it is I've lived out there for over 30 years. And I go by there every single day, twice a day. It is one of the most dangerous places I know of in Buncombe County. All the arguments I heard today were the same ones I heard 3 years ago. And they all ring true. Everyone in Fairview community has an investment in what that community looks like, and every one of them has rights. I'm going to come down to, I'm going to vote to deny this because I don't think there's any doubt. There's no way you can make it safe, and I don't know how you pull out now. with Cedar Mountain and some of the other places. But I certainly don't think we're going to aggravate the situation. So I'm very much against it. I'm very much against it before. I'm even more against it this time. Any other comments? Commissioner Newman?
Just a clarification of the process. So several people said they're going to vote to deny this. The vote to deny it is to vote yes for the motion. Is that correct?
A vote to deny, a yes would be a vote to...
The motion is to deny, so we need, if you want to deny it, you need to vote yes for the motion. Thank you.
Very good, thank you. Any other comments? If not, we'll call the question. All those in favor of the motion to deny, which will mean we do not grant the variance that's requested by Mr. Rosenberger, say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. No. The motion to deny is passed. There will not be this development by a 6-to-1 vote prior against. Thank you. And if people want to leave, we'll take maybe a 15-second break. And the folks that came here for this, we've got some more business, but we'll take just maybe 10 seconds to let you get on the way.
I gotta get out of this way.
Okay, let's go ahead and get started with the ETJ. Make this part of the record. Thank you. And Trunty, let's talk about the ETJ.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Ashland's ETJ authority was removed SL 2013-30.
And you want to speak up?
I'm sorry. SL 2013-30 was ratified April 17th of this year. That took away the city of Asheville's authority to exercise land use regulations in their extraterritorial jurisdiction, which is, we're allowed to zone up to a mile outside their limits. The bill transfers authority to the county within 120 days or when the county adopts zoning, whichever comes first. The 120 days will expire on August the 15th. If we could have the presentation, please. I have some maps to show the area that we're talking about. This is a countywide map, and the areas that are being transferred are outlined in red in this map. I'd like to advance this slide, please. Zooming in a little bit closer, the ETJ areas are in violet, and the gray areas are the corporate limits of Asheville and Woodland showing there. Zooming in a little bit more, in these maps, the current county zoning is shown, but it's grayed out a little bit. We have it there just so you can see what would abut this area, but in the brighter colors is the ETJ zoning. In this northeast quadrant, we're looking at a little bit of area along Elk Mountain Scenic Highway up in the most northern area there, and then the Chuns Cove, Haw Creek, Blue Ridge Parkway area. The yellow, which is the predominant proposed zoning there, is R1 single-family residential. In this southeast area, this is Oakley, Blue Ridge Parkway area, Ramble and Biltmore Park areas, Clayton Road, Ledbetter Road area. And here, R1 again is shown in yellow, R2 multifamily residential, light green, R3 multifamily is dark green. Employment district is proposed is shown in blue, commercial service in red, and public service in purple. In the southwest quadrant, areas involved are along Brevard Road, Pond Road, Sardison Road, and Sand Hill, Biltmore Lake area, Smoky Park, and Liberty Road area. And in the northwestern area, Starnes Cove, Cedar Hill, Johnson School Road, Ben Lippen, North Louisiana Avenue, and Gorman Bridge Road areas. We also, in addition to the zoning districts, would be applying our zoning overlays to this area. We have 3 overlay districts that would be applied: the steep slope high elevation, the protected ridge, and Blue Ridge Parkway. In the northeastern quadrant, again, the blue is the steep slope high elevation overlay. Brown is the protected ridge overlay. And then the dark purple is the Blue Ridge Parkway overlay. Then there are some areas shown in light purple that are both the protected ridge and Blue Ridge Parkway overlays. And then in green is both the steep slope high elevation and Blue Ridge Parkway overlays. And then the southeast section, Blue Ridge Parkway again is dark purple. And then there's a little bit of protected ridge and Blue Ridge Parkway that's light purple. And steep slope high elevation and Blue Ridge in green. And on the western half of the ETJ area, there are no overlays. And this is the maps that we ran in our legal ads, as well as sent to Allen County landowners to notify about the proposed zoning. The planning board resolved to sponsor and initiate the map amendments at their May 6th meeting. In drafting the maps, staff looked at the current Asheville zoning, and we attempted to parallel what was the zoning that was already in place for these areas. But we did look at what was on the ground in an effort to not create non-conforming uses. We advertised the proposed zoning in zoning hearings. We ran half-page newspaper ads, mailed notices to out-of-county owners, posted signs throughout the ETJ area. We had 45 signs in prominent locations. We set up a web page with frequently asked questions, put the maps on our GIS, and had contact information for planning staff. The planning board held a public hearing on the proposed zoning on June 17th. 7 people spoke during public comment. 6 of them just had questions about how their individual properties might be affected, but did not oppose the zoning. One speaker was concerned about what would happen with non-conforming uses. Our zoning ordinance is quite liberal as far as its approach to non-conforming uses. They can be continued and they can be expanded. And also, after adoption of the zoning, we will provide a 90-day period where owners who are in that area can come and apply for a rezoning with no fee.
How are they contacted, the owners?
The individual owners would not be contacted.
So that they have 90 days to make any changes. How are they contacted? To know that? Just through right now? Or no letter, no nothing?
No, we're not sending out any individual contacts, just with information that's provided on our website and the hearings. I'm sure there will be a newspaper article. At the planning board's public hearing, they found that the proposed zoning would be consistent with the land use plan, as the 2006 update recommends applying detailed zoning to the area that lies within the updated metropolitan sewerage district boundary, that is the primary surface area. And Asheville, and the area within the Asheville ETJ is within the MSD service area. The planning board found that the proposed zoning would be reasonable in the public interest, as the property is not currently zoned by Buncombe County, and the authority to regulate development and land use has moved from the city of Asheville to Buncombe County. The planning board recommended in a unanimous vote to adopt these maps. Do you have any questions I could address at this time?
Any questions?
Did you say in the presentation or in any documentation, like how many parcels we're talking about?
I do not remember how
Ballpark,
many. It was thousands.
It's a little over 5,000 parcels.
20 miles in the car. That's what I was heard back from Josh.
I would like to go back to the question I asked about their 90-day right to ask about, their concerns on the zoning. I did speak to Josh today. I was very comfortable with the efforts that, the fairness and everything associated with this, but I would like to get a response back from staff on how they are going to contact, how they're going to let them know that they have the ability to appeal or have it changed or whatever. I don't expect, to hear that, because from what I've heard, it's been done very well. But I would like to know how they do that, how they would be able to do that. Whether we're going to let them know. Okay, I mean, if it's advertising or if it's a simple, newspaper ad, or if it's whatever we should do.
I think you make a good point. 5,000 times, what's a stamp these days? So, it's a couple $1,000, but it probably would be just good, transparent government for good property owners to know that there's a new sheriff in town. And, I know that we're going to benefit mightily from new permitting, so I feel like that would be revenue that would be recouped pretty quickly from permitting. So, I know advertising checks the box in a lot of ways, but sometimes I wonder if it's,
Is it too late to do something with the tax bills?
that's a great idea.
We can check. I think Gary's office is getting ready to send this stuff to the printers very, very soon. So he'd be very
Sorting.
If they're not able to go in there, I would, since I heard some citizens, board, I would recommend we send them a letter. We show the colors and, maybe which is yellow and this is green, and what it means. I just think it would speak well of the board and staff if we could be that transparent.
I do think like the ETJs is, there's a lot of layers around it, but one of the things that's maddening for property owners is like, who's in charge? And you do this and do that. So the good news is there's going to be clarity. So let's just begin with being straightforward. Just say, this is who you go to from now on.
Welcome to Buncombe County.
Welcome to
I also spoke with Josh on today as well, planning, and my question and concern was that we did not in any way negatively impact the businesses that are in the EJT. I wanted to make sure that, the changeover, we were friendlier or as friendly, and one in particular was one in my area, Basf Industries, which I was very much concerned about, that we don't negatively impact them. And so I was assured that what we're doing is in line, and that if there is anything that would create a problem, we can rectify that as this board could. So that's my understanding.
So then we make a recommendation to staff that they do that?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, let's go ahead and have the public hearing, then we'll do the motion, and I'll entertain an amendment to the motion if that's the rule. Any other questions from Ms. Crumpy before we have public comment? All right, and then I have 5:47, we'll start our public comment. We will take 3 minutes from anybody. If you have any material, we'll make that part of the record. Any folks want to be heard on the public hearing for the ETJ proposed amendments? Mr. Rice, anybody else? Yes, sir, in the orange shirt, you'll have the first seat in the batter box. Anybody else? All right. Mr. Rice, you're first, and the gentleman in the orange shirt is second.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I'm not too good in the batter box, but on this whole zoning thing, I'd like to remind this board, there are two of you sitting up there, that was here on the original zoning on the map that got turned over by sending it to the court. And it was promised at that point in time that you all would go out into the county and have meetings at each middle school. And I come to the meeting, actually in Winter municipalities, and the chairman threw me out of the meeting because I called them a bunch of liars. I'm talking about the board members at that time. Now, I'm reminding you of that because of what Mr. Belcher is saying. You're supposed to go out and notify people. You didn't do it, but you threw me out of the meeting for calling you on it. So thank you, Mr. Belcher, for bringing this point up, and thank you, Mr. Jones, and thank you for supporting giving additional information to people to make an informed decision. If you've been in the seat that I've been in, riding Buncombe County roads the thousands of miles that I do a year, and mostly in Buncombe County, western North Carolina, the signs that they put out is these red signs. They do not change them, and they've got a place that you write in. And somebody, I guess, goes along and wipes them off or something and puts another date in it or something because it's confusing. And it's been confusing even to me. And I've even questioned the planning board and the chair about this very situation. And even showed them a picture of a sign where I stopped in the car and took a picture and reset the stop sign and couldn't even read it. Had to pull it up on my smartphone or get out of the car and look for it to see what the date was on. So I think you're right in notifying the people, and we did have this before where Mr. Roberts would send out notification before. We've done this in years past on other things, not just this. So it's a great idea. Well, thank you, Joe. And y'all support it.
Thank you, Mr. Rice. Yes, sir.
I'm Wayne Marshall. I live at 100 Drive in Jones Cove. My property is or was in the ETJ. I don't know. I don't know if that transfer has been finalized or not. I thought I could find Jones Cove on a map, but the maps that were shown here, no, I have no idea where Jones Cove is. And I do think, though, that for me to find out what is happening with ETJ, and if I have to turn on television news and find it out, is a disgrace. The city or the county one, I feel it's mandatory that you contact the taxpayers and notify us as to what is going on and have some more public hearings, maybe in a smaller grouping than we have tonight, and kind of divide it up into districts. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Marshall. Any other public comment tonight on the ETJ proposed maps? If not, I'll declare the public hearing closed at 5:51.
So,
What's the pleasure of the board?
can I make a motion, we'll set a minute?
You can.
So, how do I need to phrase the first part of the matter? I make a motion to support the rezoning, the ETJ, and that it's in accordance with our, am I supposed to have that?
How about a motion to approve the recommended map amendments and add to that an amendment to notify each parcel owner either by, go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. My opinion, it should be two motions, however stand out. Keep the motion to approve or deny clean, and then give direction to staff to follow up.
All right, so is there a motion to approve the recommended map amendments?
Motion.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The approval of the map amendments has been approved 7-0. Is there a motion, concerning the notice to the individuals affected by this amendment?
I'd like to make a motion that we instruct staff to notify each owner property by letter with the proper description of what zone the property would be under and which properties. We say there's 5,000 properties, right, but there may not be 5,000 owners, so they may be affected by more than one, so I'd like to make that motion.
Okay, would a friendly amendment be that it could be by tax or a separate mail, or you want just one day?
Send them over, send a card, but probably just raise it out of the way.
I mean, if it can be,
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you tie it into the tax bill? You can tie it?
you can do that. As long as they get the letter, as long as they get the letter.
Whatever in there.
Let's just say that we leave it up to discretion, that every parcel owner gets a notification within the 90 days at no fee time. Is that fair to say?
Yes, but let's just say that they need to be notified within 30 days.
Okay. All right. Okay, so the motion is to notify each parcel owner within 30 days of their right to exercise a 90-day period to have a rezoning and no fees within 30 days of today. Okay.
Question, do we need to separately vote for the waiver?
No, that-
Staff recommending that we have to keep it within 90 days, so we can vote on that?
I think that's included with what we're doing now. I mean, that's the recommendation to this board from the staff.
Okay, so we recommend.
It's not part of the ordinance.
Okay, so we recommended, we agreed that last vote.
Yes.
Okay, as long as everybody's clear on that.
That was the last vote we did that.
So I want to be clear on the 30 days. We're giving them 30 days from today. We're giving staff 30 days to contact them.
Within the 90 days runs after the 31st day.
That gives them 60 days.
I guess as a point of clarification, if the motion is to give staff 30 days to give notice to all owners, that you have 90 days from the date of the notice to have that appeal, then I think you should make that as a motion to clarify it all.
So that basically pushes it 120 days out. Right.
Okay. That gives everybody maximum time. Is that agreement? We're clarifying them. Okay. Everybody know where we're at? Okay, any other discussion?
And I mean, I would use that opportunity if there were some other important nuggets to include in kind of just informing the property owner of who the contact person is. So this is an important issue, but there's probably a handful of other nuggets that we can include that introduce them to Plymouth County Cleaning Department.
In terms of who to contact for ordinance enforcement and other related issues, not just how your property is going to be recommended.
It's a great opportunity.
Okay. Excellent. Any other discussion of the amendment as vetted out? All those in favor of the amendment proposed by Commissioner Belcher and seconded by Commissioner Newman say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion is adopted 7-0.
Can I ask one quick question just about the implementation? Are we needing to increase staff or we have a plan to utilize current staff or increase demand or?
I think in talking to the city, I think right now that we can handle this. That's the plan.
Any other questions or any comments? If not, we'll go on to our next item, a resolution approving Enka Intermediate School site purchase price. Now, I thought I saw Chairman Reinhardt, School Board Chairman, and Dr. Ball there. So y'all, who's gonna, I guess Dr. Ball and Tim will do this one.
Chairman Reinhardt, I know I'm here to talk about the intermediate school property, but I've got to take 30 seconds and say thank you on behalf of our school system. First off, we're always appreciative of our local appropriations for our school operation. But I want to specifically thank our county manager and you, the commissioners, because what you allowed us to do, you gave us flexibility to redirect some of those funds. I think everyone's aware that our greatest hit from the state budget came upon our teacher assistants. It was about $2 million. Because we were able to redirect some of those funds locally, it significantly reduced the impact, especially on our kindergarten and third grade assistants. And you've heard me say this, beat this drum for 5 years now. We believe strongly in that foundation of K-3, the importance of teachers and the support staff. And if you look at the legislation that came out, our General Assembly believed in that too. So thank you for that. You may recall for the past 3 years, you've requested what I'm going to term as a long-range planning document over a 10-year span for Martin County schools, and it was our best crystal ball effort at identifying large projects that we had that we anticipated over that span. And all 3 of those years, 3 years where that was submitted, years 1 through 5 included the purchase of property for an Enka intermediate school. And let me strongly emphasize that the property has to come first. We have to have the property before the building. Years 6 through 10 on all 3 of those plans included the building of that Enka intermediate school. And along with that particular long-range plan, on all the items included, we looked very carefully at our budget, we looked at our sales tax availability, specifically from our Article 39. And so we are here tonight to ask your approval to allow us to use a current portion of current undesignated 39 sales tax funds for the property purchase. There is no question that this school will be needed. I can give you the ADM at Enka Middle School last year was 1,057, just to give you a comparison. The next largest middle school last year was an enrollment of 828. Some of you may actually recall that this middle school used to be, was actually opened in 1955 as Enka High School. So there is certainly a need, and I think you've heard a couple of Enka residents that have referenced crowdedness in the elementary school, and particularly 2, that is Pisgah Elementary and Campbell Elementary. In both of those cases, we are projecting. We always do these projections, by the way, 5-year projections for our board every spring. And both of those are projected to exceed what we consider to be functional capacity. Certainly 1,057 students in that middle school environment exceeds what we consider to be functional capacity. So with that, I want to turn this over to Mr. Tim Fairley, who is our facilities director. I also want to add, I've asked him to emphasize, anytime we look at any type of property purchase, I can assure you that we do a very comprehensive and thorough environmental study. And that has been done in this case. I'm going to ask Mr. Fairley, as the director of this project, to share some specific details. But again, thank you for the flexibility, especially from our teacher assistant.
So I have with me the due diligence studies that we conducted over the last 6 weeks. They're posted on the Board of Ed site if you want to dig into them. They're easy reading at night. Insomnia maybe, but we did assemble a very excellent team, a traffic engineering firm, very experienced in schools, a geotech firm, again, with excellent credentials and has worked for the Board of Ed in the past and performed well. We hired an appraiser to appraise the property and an environmental assessment. And we conducted interviews. We put an RFQ out, conducted interviews, and hired who we thought were the best, most qualified folks. And I think they came through in a 5-week period and did really excellent work. We also hired a civil engineer to help me interpret some of these results and to put a kind of a napkin sketch study together of all the parts and pieces that it takes for a school to operate, the building, the parking lots, the playing fields. And our team of experts here analyzed those studies that we did, tweaked them, and we've come out with a kind of a schematic design that may or may not be what would ultimately be built. We have prototype schools that we just built, intermediate schools in the Kuntz and Evelyn, in the Irwin and the Robertson district, and we use that as the basic footprint of what we need, because that seems to have worked very well. Folks like them, and it would promote equity. So we do have a game plan. I can report to you that of all the reports in here, all the entities feel that this is an excellent site. We looked at numerous sites before we arrived at this site at the former BASF plant. And we did that 3 years ago as well when we were considering a Enka intermediate school. And at that time, we also came upon this site as the best site. Things have changed in a couple of years. Prices have gone up a bit. The economy is rebounding, but other pieces of property came onto the market that just weren't there. So we had the opportunity to look at other properties, and in my opinion, my recommendation to the board is that this is the most suitable property for an intermediate school. I see we've got a PowerPoint up there, and I hope I can operate the remote to kind of give you a little feel for the site. Just a couple of slides here, and we'll kind of zoom in as we go. But that red star is the site we're looking at. It's at the intersection of Sand Hill and Sardis Roads. Very visible, very centrally located, and easy to get to in the Enka district. And that's very important because every kid in the Enka district would have to go through this school, like a high school. We can't place it out in the corner or the perimeter or an inaccessible place because it truly does serve the entire district. So let's see. Yeah, I probably had it upside down. There we go. So we're zooming in on it, and you can see the yellow lines highlight the extent of the property. You can see, is there a pointer? Yeah, okay. This doesn't show up on the TV. I hope you can see the intersection of Sand Hill running to kind of the lower right and Sardis Roads that connects to the Enka district. We found some rock on the property. It's in that corner outlined in kind of a light blue there. It is not extensive, and with the game plan we had, I've asked our engineers to say, hey, if that rock wasn't there, how much is this going to cost us because of this rock? And it ends up being about $25,000. Really not a whole lot of money. We wouldn't put the building right there. We would kind of work around that. We did find some construction debris from the building and the widening of Sardis Road there, and that's outlined in the red. And then here's the survey, and all those red dots you see are where we did soil borings. We looked at the character of the soil. We also took water samples in numerous sites there to test the groundwater. and there was no detect of volatile organic compounds or what you might expect. We also tested the Hominy Creek as it enters the property in the upper part of that slide, and as it exits the property in the right side of that slide. And again, no detect of any concerns there. The property was primarily wooded for most of the last 30 years, but about 10 years ago, when this owner bought the property, they did take trees out and use some of the soil to fill other sites on that property to make it developable. So there are some concerns, and my recommendation to the board is that this owner stabilize the site, make sure that it's grass covered and will not erode, and also remove that debris. But with just those two qualifications, my recommendation to the board, to the superintendent, will be that this is an excellent site for an intermediate school.
Any questions for Mr. Bailey?
How close is this to Sardis Road?
Okay. Pardon me?
How close is it to Sardis Road?
It doesn't quite border on it, but it's within a couple of 100 feet of.
No, we're talking
It's on Sand Hill.
the coke plant and stuff down in that area, or?
That I believe
That's on Sand Hill.
is on, yeah, Sand Hill down the road. This is right at the corner where the two roads come together. The property doesn't quite border on it. It borders on the Sand Hill side of it, where Hominy Creek is, and then it borders on a private road, Jacob Home Way, that cuts through that Enka BASF plant.
One of the great things about this property too is that once a bridge comes across from 1923 and connects for industrial and retail or whatever else will go on over there, that will also be a way to connect to that school, and it'll leave the traffic even more. So it's just an amazing look.
There's also a proposed greenway that will connect to the property that will be accessible to the school and will wrap all the way around and be an excellent resource for the school.
When was the property located? How long ago?
By located, could you clarify?
How long have you been thinking about this land?
Well, we looked about 3 years ago. The board said, let's look at this, and I did a property search, had a real estate entity involved, and searched myself and found numerous properties. Came upon this property, but because of the economy and a number of other things, the board shelved the search. So reinvigorated that search about 2 months ago or so, and found new properties available. Some of the same properties were out there, and identified this property last month as the one that we should probably look at and do these due diligence studies.
So nothing's been precipitous about this at this point?
It's been, I mean, before that 3-year search, the Enka Intermediate School was discussed maybe 5 years ago and put as kind of number 3. The 2 other schools were built, but the commitment was that when population growth proved out, that the Enka Intermediate would be the next thing in line.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions? I think I do this every time Dr. Baldwin comes, we get a report from Chairman Reinhardt or Dr. Baldwin. I really appreciate your plan. You're very methodical about how you decide on schools. You look at all the factors. You have a wonderful checklist and priority about what weight you give the need for schools. And I've always been real impressed with that, and I think I do bring it up about every time. But thank you for doing that, because it takes a lot of the subjectivity out of it, because if you've got the numbers, you've got all the different criteria met, then it's a real easy decision. The question is the funding, and that's our part of the process. But I just want to commend both of you for following that. And I've watched it a long time, and I appreciate it every time, because a lot of agencies don't do that. So that's my 2 cents this time. Thank you. Any other comments or? Okay. Is there a motion?
Yeah, I've got some, I want to make a couple of comments. I want to thank leadership of the school board and Mr. Farrell and Dr. Baldwin and others. David King and I had an opportunity to go visit the middle school. And just for the record, both of my children went to the middle school. And I'm very familiar with the traffic on Asbury Road. I did see the reports. I personally was convinced that the plan to put a sixth grade academy on the back of that would be nothing more than a $9 million monster. It would not be the ultimate fix. Certainly you could push things out, but it's time for Enka County to have a school like this. It's an amazing location. I mean, you couldn't have prayed down a better spot as far as I'm concerned. I do understand the concerns about the ASF and things. And I'm confident that, I'll tell you how confident I am in that the proper due diligence has been done and will be done. My grandson's going to that school. And so that's got to be charged up too. But I'm excited about it. It's a great location. And I'm looking forward to supporting this. And I don't want to forget this moment to explain Article 39. We're actually, this money's not coming from our general fund, it's actually coming from Article 39. For me, a historic day for me to be able to participate in this, and I'm honored in the professionalism of the way it's handled, the thoroughness that it is handled now, and the continued thoroughness, and I hope that it will be carried out expeditiously. My grandson said so.
I would also like to comment earlier that even the assertion was made that this was a top-down decision and that we would rubber stamp this. Well, I'd like to refute that statement. I'd like to say that members of the community, Michelle Pacewood, Lynn Miller, the Suttons, have contacted us. I have bothered Chairman Reinhardt many days on the phone. This board's been actively engaged in this process. We have known from the beginning, as this board, what's going on, and I'd like to assert that we all met in the middle, the community, this board, and the school board.
And also the property owners moved on the price, and you don't see that a lot. And so that was great. It saved us $250,000 on the property. The paper says it's $2 million. It's not $2 million. It's 1.98.
Okay, any other comments?
I agree, it is a great location for a new public school, so it's a really exciting project, and it's great to see this step being taken forward. It's going to be a great asset for this whole part of the community for years to come, so it's very exciting to see it forward.
Hey, before we do the motion, probably, Dr. Baldwin, could you talk a little bit about Chapter 39 and how that works? Some of the folks in the audience and possibly the public don't really understand that and how it's going to be financed.
There are certainly better individuals to talk about the history, and I think to do it justice, that we would need to talk about the history. So I'll do my best.
Okay, maybe Ms. Parker can help. I think she was prompted to do that earlier.
So you can tag team with me. I can tell you from the standpoint of Superintendent of Buncombe County Schools, Article 39 is a specific sales tax dedicated to Buncombe County. Asheville City also receives per ADM a portion of that.
What's just ADM is average day?
Average daily membership. Think in terms of the number of students in each system. But it is unique. It is unique in this state. I can find only one school system that I believe has had something similar to this. This goes back years and years ago when Buncombe County was identified nationally as what they call, I've heard this over and over, the story of the Dirty Dozen. Nationally, we were identified as having some of the worst school buildings in the country. As a result, community members, politicians, local politicians, I would be amiss if I didn't identify one as Senator Martin Nesbitt. Key players here in Buncombe County decided it was time to do something about that. As a result, they worked through the General Assembly, and therefore Article 39, which we call Article 39, became the sales tax specific to Buncombe County, and it was clearly restricted to capital school building use. And as I say, that has, in my opinion, that has allowed Buncombe County schools to be second to none in the state of North Carolina relative to our facilities. There was reference earlier about legislation. Again, I want to thank our local legislators that now has given us local flexibility to use a portion of sales tax to technology. Well, I want to invite you all to Thursday's board meeting, but here's what I do need to tell you is different. Initially, that the bill that came through the House identified Article 39 funds, which again, as I said, was restricted to capital use, to give us flexibility for those undesignated funds to be used for technology. In the process of it becoming in the final budget, that shifted to lottery funds. Again, we're very fortunate in that we have undesignated lottery funds. Part of that is now designated to our STEM high school. There is a portion remaining that we are now, because of this new legislation, we're going to be able to dedicate $5 million over the next 2 years for technology, for digital learning, infrastructure, potential digital devices, and our technology director is just biting the bits to be in front of the board on Thursday to talk about what tentatively that might look like. But that's flexibility that came out of lottery. We would have not had that flexibility with lottery funds had it not been for having this unique sales tax in Article 39. So I've probably done a terrible job of giving you the perspective, but from my standpoint, I know it's a very, very good thing for Buncombe County Schools.
Thank you, Doug. Okay, any other discussion of the intermediate school proposal to buy this site that we've heard about? Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Frost, a second by Commissioner King. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. The motion passes to buy the Enka property 7-0. Thank you. We're going to continue on, but if anyone needs to leave, we will certainly give you that opportunity. Next up, we have the ordinance creating the Buncombe County Cultural Recreation Authority. Dr. Green.
Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, I feel like every time I've stood here for the last 2 months, I've talked about House Bill 418 and Culture and Recreation Authority. And in our last meeting, you did authorize the Culture and Recreation Authority. And tonight, we're bringing you the ordinance that creates the authority. Some of the highlights in the ordinance and about the Culture and Recreation Authority is that it creates a new government with a 7-member board. I do want to tell you that we have already combined library, recreations, and culture into one department, which was just a good business model, and it also facilitates the transition as we move forward. The offices for this new administration is located on the upper level of Cap Library. We're able to repurpose some space there, so they've all moved. Ed Sherry, who's the library director, is managing the transition and working very closely with Brand Thigpen, who's our Parks, Greenways, and Recreation Director. And they're both working closely with staff and with their boards
as we prepare for the transition and gather all the questions that need to be answered. I do want to emphasize that these programs and these expenditures have for a long time been part of county budget. These are not new expenditures that we're creating a new tax to cover. These have for a very long time, been part of county government. However, moving forward, we will manage them a different way under this new unit of government. The county commissioners will be creating the Culture and Recreation Authority. So there'll always be a tie between the two boards. However, moving forward, there has to be an arm's length agreement and relationship between the two boards, which I think will be one of our bigger challenges to lay out which board is doing, has what responsibilities going forward. There are some administrative timing issues that we need to work with as we move forward. We have to have the CRA board set up. It has to have a meeting, and we can, whatever the first number of appointees are, as long as there's a majority of them there, we have to select a chairman. In order to sign the documents that have to go to the State Department of Revenue for retirement and 401k, other benefits that would be eligible to a government employee, we have to have those signed and in the Department of Revenue's hands. Once those are approved by the Department of Revenue, we can actually stand the organization up on the first day of the following quarter. So there's some real serious timing issues as we move forward here. So when you do approve the ordinance, I will ask you that you go ahead and appoint whatever members you're going to appoint who will be commissioners, and it does require at least one commissioner on this board. And then I think it's prudent to advertise for the remaining positions. Ms. Thigpen has worked really closely with the Parks, Greenways, and Recreation Board to make sure that they're informed. As Ed Sherry has worked with the Library Board, we want to make sure that they know everything we know and that they're preparing and helping us prepare for the transition. We've wanted their feedback. They've been good to give us their feedback and share the worries that you might have amongst staff and part of the Board of One. We are asking you with this ordinance to transfer the Parks, Greenways, and Recreation Board. It's an advisory board, to transfer that to the Culture and Recreation Board. That's a fairly easy transition. It keeps the members intact, and it just changes which board they're advising. And since this commission will not have responsibility for libraries and recreation directly, they need to be advising the Culture and Recreation Authority. The Library Board is just a little bit different animal, and it's a statutory board. But we still have the need for the advice on library operations it needs to be directed to the library, the Culture and Recreation Board. So we're asking you to, and I'd like to suggest an amendment on Section 10 of the ordinance that you have in front of you, so that we can address the transfer of these two boards. If you look at the end of the first sentence, when it says, the committees are hereby disbanded, I'd like to add, and the respective members of these boards are transferred to the authority board as advisory committees. The disbanding language is to clarify the relationship between the library board and the Board of County Commissioners, and then the transferring it is to say to the Culture and Recreation Authority, we want you to have these advisory boards. They've spent a lot of time with us, they've done a lot of things for the county, they've been great counsel to us, developed a lot of plans, whether it's the Sports Park Master Plan, the Lake Julian Master Plan, the Greenways Master Plan. They spend a lot of time and have a lot of history. That would be very valuable to the CRA. And I know how grateful each of you are to not just the existing board members, but the ones that have gone before them, because they've laid a great foundation to move this forward with the Recreation Authority. There is a lot of work that has to be done, and we want that work to be done in a way that's not disruptive to our citizens, so we don't want patrons to use our service and feel any sense of disruption or change. They should not see a difference in terms of how it's run and the services that are provided. We want to be very open and honest with our patrons as they come through and make sure they know what's happening and who's responsible. This commission will still have to set the tax rate to fund the Culture and Recreation Authority. Today, we set tax rates to fund city school supplemental tax, fire districts. Both of those were established by voters. This authority is being established by the commission. It's a little bit different in its origin. So we want to make sure people really do understand how that's, how we're constructing it, what it will do, and as we can grow the information, Kathy is setting up a link on the website, and we are putting some information in the tax bill so we can take people to that site. And we want to keep it as current as we can. So depending on what we do tonight, we're able then to tomorrow add to that and give them a better status. So tonight, what I'm going to ask you to do, I'm making a request that you create the Cultural and Recreation Authority via this ordinance. And if you do create it, I will ask that you go ahead and appoint the commissioner or commissioners that are going to be on the Cultural and Recreation. I'm happy to answer any questions you have. It's a tedious piece of legislation in a lot of ways, and the ordinance is just a reflection of the requirements in the bill itself.
Okay, I've got a question. There's some tight timelines you've discussed here. How will the employees for the library and recreation departments, even if they're merged now, will they just be, until we set all this up, will they just be paid as county employees?
Actually, our expectation and what we're planning to make this a smooth transition is that they continue to be part of the county until the Cultural and Recreation Board is up and running. And we anticipate it might be as the earliest you really make the transition with employees is July 1st of next year. We want to give them options, and we want them to feel comfortable about their employment and their security.
Well, I think that's a very, very important part of this board's concern is that each employee of the CRA gets the same benefits, the same salary. It's not a job cutting or a job demotion. It is the same or more is what I'd like to see. And I think this board has expressed strong opinion that nobody has a cut in any benefits. If anything, we do more. But we definitely, this is not a demotion. This is just a different entity that nobody in the state has ever done, is what we hear.
This is an entirely separate unit of government. We've heard that feedback, and as we prepare and bring policies to both the Culture and Recreation Board, and then as they will have to be approved by the commissioners, we are following that guidance.
So my questions have to do, I guess, around the okay, first let's just talk about the initial board. So, and I hear that we need an official board so we can sign the document so we can get rolling, and there's timelines to meet. So I guess my question is, so I want to hold and balance the fact that because this is a new board, very important, making a lot of important decisions, I do want us to kind of announce it to the community, receive applications, us do our due diligence to select those people. But I hear some of this urgency that gets some of the mechanics done. So is there a way to kind of have a partial board started that we could do that, i.e., I know there's several folks on this board that have expressed interest, so we can kind of start with like a county board, and then not as quickly as possible, but with all deliberate speed of intentionality, that we bring the other people on, but we are able to really.
The way it reads is it can take action with the majority of the members who are appointed, and I do think it's prudent to advertise for the positions that are not filled by commissioners. I think there's going to be a lot of interest in the community.
So if we had initially 4 board members from the.
Go ahead, there's a question on
So if we this is just an idea, it might not work, or you might have to modify it based on this idea, but if we started with 4 appointees from this board, that would be the majority, that'd be a majority of this board too, so how we have to notice, I think it is a problem, to have a majority of this board be the majority of that board in terms of how you notice and who's really making the decisions. It's not But this
clear
would be a
that
public board anyway. We would notice it regardless.
We would, but we also have to notice that the majority of the Board of Commissioners are in session in addition to the Culture and Recreation Authority being in session.
So if we have to have a majority of the board appointed for it to begin operating,
No, we just have to have, however many you appoint. We just need a majority of those appointees to be able to meet.
So if we appointed three, they could meet and they could take some initial actions.
We could.
Oh, okay.
With respect to everybody,
And we can do it with three, if you'd like. That would be, we just need to have the first meeting of that board at whatever level you appoint it, so that we can get a chairman appointed and some documents signed. Nobody has the authority, but the person who's chosen as chair.
and to Mr. Chairman and Dr. Green, I'm reading it slightly different, but I think there's a middle way to fix it, because the legislation and the ordinance both say that the authority board shall consist of 7 members. A quorum is a majority of the board, and action by the board would take a majority of that, so 3 or 4. If 3 members of this board and pick 4 random people are required to have a quorum just for whoever an interim chairman is, to sign the documents necessary to get the retirement system funding in place, then the ordinance also allows that any member can be removed by this board at any time. So it could be an interim board in that respect, but I think it would require 7 appointments.
I have a question about housekeeping. Should we vote on the CRA first? Because if it's not a 7-0 vote, then we can't decide any of this right now anyway, is that correct?
That's correct. The ordinance only passes.
Okay,
first
so-
reading 7-0.
So we need to figure this out, but we need to figure the other thing first. So I guess my next second round of question has to do with this, the whole boards and commission piece. And so if I've understood correctly, so we've got 3 different alternatives here. Is the first one the one that's currently in the, this, the first one is currently what is covered?
The draft that's presented to the board says, are hereby disbanded, period. That's what's in the packet material before you.
Okay, so these are 3 new alternatives.
Correct.
Okay, so what you're saying is, so which one did you refer to when you were making
I
the
refer to the
presentation?
second one, where it
Okay.
makes it clear that the advisory board will continue in a role with the CRA.
So the alternative 2 would mean that we would still have, that these boards would still exist in our community to advise and serve, but it would just serve a different body. It would serve the authority and not the commissioners.
That's right, and it would
So
serve
it
as
would
an
still
advisory
be,
capacity.
that would be alternative 2. So we have to say the word disbanded, but it's really not as bad as it sounds.
It's not as bad as it sounds, it's just we have to comply with the statutes and kind of sever the relationship between the Board of Commissioners and the library
I
board.
got you. Okay.
And they would function as advisory committees.
And does the future authority have, they will appoint them from your board?
They will.
And I think it's critical that we have the feedback of the existing boards. I have to postpone my mind. I think I've talked to everybody, most of you anyway, about this. We've got to have their collective wisdom in what they're doing now, so we could go forward with what we want to do and have the best CRA possible. So.
And they have a lot of history with our departments today, so it's very helpful.
And also for the continuity of the employees and their stability as well.
All right. So am I correct from our conversation with Mr. Drew earlier that the only part of the ordinance that we're about to adopt that is different than the state statute is this what we're discussing right now, the current boards and commission content? Other than that, the ordinance has been developed strictly based on the adopted legislation.
As we discussed, that section 10 is the only thing that varies from the legislation. I did clarify some meaning, tried to make it flow better, and cleaned up membership just a little bit, but
Right.
that's the only thing that's new.
That's the new thing, okay.
Because there's going to be a different relationship with the library board anyway, no matter what we do. This is a new statutory addition to what was there before, by us adopting this, so I think it's going to be different no matter what we do. Okay, is there a motion, or is there any discussion first, and we'll ask if there's a motion to adopt. Let's first take a motion to adopt the ordinance with any amendments, and then we'll talk about the membership.
Question.
Yes, sir.
On the vote on this tonight, does it make a 7-0 vote to pass, and we don't have to go 2 weeks from now?
Yes, sir. This is the meeting at which this ordinance is first introduced, so it would require a unanimous vote to pass today.
In the first setting?
Yes, in the first setting. Otherwise, it need to come to
I
ask
asked
for a
for
majority
the
vote.
next meeting.
Yes,
That's my question.
And I kind of follow up on that one. If there is a second vote on the 27th, which is our next meeting, not the 20th as we normally have, would that make it, is there a possibility we could get started before the fourth quarter, if that was the case?
It'll just depend a lot on whether or not the Department of Revenue gets us papers back to us approved in the month of September. We have everything ready to go. We just need a person who can sign the documents, and we'll get them off to them right away. If they get it back to us in September, we're good to go on October 1st.
And that kind of goes to the second point, to have a signing authority to get that going, right?
And
with the
I think that
minority.
Chairman, one more question. We was talking about the salaries and different things. How did this work with the health department, Minnie Jones, when you did that? That's another area I'd like to have an understanding because we don't hire.
And actually, I think the biggest difference there is we contracted with a nonprofit to provide a service. Here you are actually creating a government, and I think that's a big differentiation. And so we did have over 100 employees move to Minnie Jones. We did make sure that they had retirement and benefits when they moved.
But on the benefits, like we're talking here, how did the benefits go with our employees to the nonprofit Minnie Jones?
They did not retain our benefit package. They had a benefit package with Minnie Jones.
I'm going to make a motion, but I want to reiterate, we're keeping everything the same.
We have heard that real loud and clear as we prepare the documents, yes.
So in terms of creating this authority, I'd be happy to make a motion to adopt the ordinance that has been printed with the alternative to the language of section 10 that would read, I probably should read this out loud because it's not even in anybody's packet. So in addition to instead of the current section 10 that is printed, it would be current boards and committees. The Board of Trustees of the Asheville-Buncombe Library System established by Buncombe County Resolution number 17075 and is amended by Buncombe County Resolution number 17093, as well as the Parks, Greenway, and Recreation Services Advisory Committee are hereby disbanded, and the respective members of these boards are transferred to the Authority Board as advisory committees. It is the intent of this Board of Commissioners to relinquish any formal authority it has over these boards and leave future decisions regarding the efficacy of advisory panels regarding libraries, parks, greenways, recreation facilities, or cultural organizations to the Authority Board. That's a motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, there's been a motion by Vice Chair Jones, a second with the amended provisions that Vice Chair has read. Is there any discussion?
One thing, I voted against the whole budget, and if I voted no tonight, it's going to bring it all the way to the 27th, and I'm not going to push that issue that far. So I will be voting for it.
I think the bottom line is it's going to make things better. And I think it's going to take a lot of work, but I think we have an opportunity to do something that's groundbreaking and better for employees, better for our libraries, better for our parks and rec. So I support it. Any other comment? Not all those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. The motion as amended is adopted 7-0.
My
Now,
next request would be, would you appoint from the commission the members that you will have on CRA?
I'd like to make a motion that Chairman Gann is the chairman of this.
Second, please.
I'd like to make a motion that Chairman Gann is also the chair of the CRA.
Second.
Lance, sir, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no.
You didn't oppose that?
As a point of order, can we do that? This is a new government entity, is it their board's choices?
I just pulled up the session law, and you're correct, that this board cannot do that. The CRA board has to appoint its own chair and vice chair.
Okay.
Okay, and I'm just trying to figure out these mechanics, just for the short run. So like what you're saying is, like, we have a board, we can sign the documents and we can go, right?
That's right.
So for just that mechanics, can't we just appoint this entire board for a short period of time while we, and do that business, and then we advertise to the public the other openings, and then we will knock some people off of this board and bring others on. I mean, it's a little awkward, but if it facilitates the business getting done, is that another way to do it?
Commissioner Jones, I believe you can, because the session law also says nothing in this act shall prohibit the appointment of only elected officials to the authority, so it would just be the somewhat cumbersome double notice provision to have this board get together to appoint a chair and vice chair and get the document signed, but it's still.
Couldn't we just, like the next meeting we have, adjourn and then restart and then approve that and then move on?
You just require a notice, but yes.
Hey, but we could notice it with the other commissioners.
Would it be more expedient if we were doing it with that thought in mind to have Dr. Green and Assistant County Teacher on the board? And then that way we can have a more thoughtful process. And then that way there's more continuity, there's no double notice of.
Do we want to set a time limit? That's the one thing. All 7 of us.
I think that would be part of the motion.
I mean, this is Holly's land, but that we do this just to get the paperwork going, but we simultaneously put the advertisement out, and this board doesn't do any other business except for get the paperwork rolling, sign those documents, and we interview and select our people, and really the first time that the board meets is the 7 that we want to start. That's when all the work happens. We don't try to start, developing policies or even doing research. We wait till that whole board is set, that this would just be almost a one-time thing.
I think you
And
can.
we do it, I mean, for that matter, I mean, we can do it tonight, I mean, right?
I don't know that you're noticed in
We
the
didn't
session.
Yeah, there's a separate session requiring the usual 7 days notice to 48 hours for a special meeting, so it would have to be at least 48 hours.
But you see, my point is, I'm not trying to do business of the broader board. In fact, I think that would be kind of weird. I wouldn't want us to do it, and I also wouldn't want to start out with staff either. I really want the community involved. But I also want to move forward with our employees being able to get their retirement. And so that's
My thought in mentioning the staff is, not so much notice, is it a different amount of notice if it's just?
No, it'd be the same thing. If the CRA board reported all 7 of them today, and wanted to have a quick meeting, we'd have to have time to have at least 48 hours notice to have a special meeting for the purpose of signing them up. Even if that was 3 members of this board and 4 members of the public, that same notice would be required.
But what if there was just 3?
You still have to have the notice.
okay. So if we did that, if we had that meeting, if we noticed it for the meeting that we're already going to have the 27th, and we did that, does that get the ball rolling for what you need to do?
It does. It's basically a 3-week delay in signing the documents, and that's the hard thing. I don't know if everybody's available to notice a meeting in the morning for a special call just for signatures. That's the only thing that's going to roll it fast enough for us to be sure we're able to October 1st.
So when do you need it by the
Let's
October?
hope, well, we need the documents signed right away to give Department of Revenue as much time as they need, so we can stay after we get it.
So if we were to notice a meeting tomorrow
We do a
morning,
special call meeting noticed in the morning from
48 hours.
That gives us Monday. Maybe it's Friday. It would have to be, yeah, Friday.
Yes, sir. And, would it be, could I ask the other members of the commission to indicate who may be interested in serving on the board on a more ongoing basis? Just to kind of get a sense of like who would be potentially interested in that and kind of get a sense of that.
I would be.
Yeah, I have been from the beginning very vocal about
Vice Chair Jones. So we have 4 people that are interested. I kind of think, I think I would support, so we can get the ball rolling and point us all right now and understand. I think that the way I vision this, ladies and gentlemen, is to have members of the library board, the Parks and Recreation board, and some folks possibly to help us with putting this and getting the message out of what we're doing and how we're doing it. And I think we would need to be very careful in any other people we appointed. It won't be the same 7 we started if we did this. I think that's what I would support. It's just, well, let's appoint us. Let's get the paperwork signed. We can, if we can meet, I would suggest maybe Friday afternoon. It would be better for folks. Sorry. And we need a quorum, so all we need is 4, I guess, of that, right? Is that
Yes,
right?
correct.
So if folks had conflicts, we wouldn't necessarily have to. I think we appoint a chair and designate the chair to sign the paperwork to get the employee paperwork going so that they can make sure they recover.
Exactly.
And that's the only business we need to have conducted.
So it would be a short meeting, I don't think.
And so you're only gonna have 4 people.
Well, we could
Yeah,
have, we
but
have to be all
yeah, but if for some reason people couldn't show up, we don't need to have
give them
that.
notice.
Right.
Yeah, if we could do maybe,
But if you're appointing for 4 commissioners, does that not constitute a quorum for the 7 that was gonna be on there anyhow? So
Yeah, we have to do a double notice, but that's.
But what I'm saying is that only those 4 commissioners have to be at the meeting.
if people had conflicts, we've noticed it for both the commissioners, because we have more than 4 commissioners, and the CRA, which is a public entity. And either one would have a full work. We can get business done, if the folks had conflicts, because I know it's not much notice.
I'm a little bit confused, so tonight, purpose of appointing 4 is so that we can have that CRA board.
And I hear that we would appoint all 7.
Yeah,
All 7.
Turn it off.
Yeah.
I'll set up.
Yeah, we'll have one meeting as a group, and then we also would want to, I think, have time for advertising. I would suggest we do that right away.
Yeah.
Just advertise to the folks that aren't going to be on this board, that are going to be on the CRA, and instruct, or just, let's get that full blast now. And then I think another decision we might want to talk about is whether we want to interview the folks that are not going to be commissioners before our next meeting.
I just don't say we're gonna have enough time to get a good pool of candidates to do that.
No,
So-
not Friday, but the next 27th.
That's all of those 3 weeks.
Okay,
I mean, we get through the craziness thing by doing this other, so I think, you know, if we get the other group in the September, we're in good shape with those.
that's true. The timeliness is to get the signatures. Once you do that, we can appoint the other. Okay, I'm good.
And if we do this approach, I think it makes sense. And just making sure we're not doing anything inconsistent with what we just voted on. Because the ordinance does talk about specific lengths of terms and things like that. So in a way, we're kind of doing something a little different here. And this is kind of an interim process. And then we're going to appoint these folks who actually will have to serve out these different lengths of terms. Am I thinking about that right?
It is something of a mixed bag, but yes, there's specific 3-year terms, but we included language that, if I can find it, I'm looking at something different. But there is a language that in terms of membership, that members can be removed at any time by this Board of Commissioners and reappointed, no reason is needed to be given. So on that basis, I'm thinking it's interim and it gets changed.
Mr. President, it's 4C, any member of the authority board may be removed by the Board of Commissioners by a majority vote of quorum being present. No cause for removal shall be required.
So it sounds like we can do it.
Right.
Obviously, that kind of sounds.
There's
the understanding that this is.
There's another thing,
Really an interim board for this purpose.
there's another thing in this.
This won't be used on campaign
Mr.
materials in the future.
Mr. Gantz is chairman, and we're looking for 4. So let's take one from the 3 districts. If it's Joe or District 3, Ellen, I'm fine with you taking it from District 2. Let's have 3 districts and the 1 chairman, 4 right now, and see what happens. It's well, because I'm fine with Ellen taking it. I think you're fine with Joe taking it.
I think we're talking about like in the future, and I tend to agree that noticing is not going to be a big deal. I mean, it's just, so if four members of this board are really interested in it, I don't see any, I'm trying to figure out what the problem is if we notice, we've got to notice one, we can notice the other one, so.
I would say, I would still, I think I'd go with 7, and then that'll give us the maximum flexibility.
Oh, no, at the beginning, but I'm committed, but going forward in terms of, just to kind of, start with 7. Start with 7.
Maybe I could ask, is there a way that we could say we'll appoint the 7 as an interim board until October 31st or something, so that there's not the question about coming back and what we're moving in?
I think I don't know that we state that as an absolute, but that this is with the intent that at least 3 members of the initial board shall resign or be reappointed by that date.
There's nothing, there is the legislative authorization. We're make sure we're not voting for something that is inconsistent with the enabling legislation. The enabling legislation does sort of set forth these specific terms, and then we kind of vote for something that's different terms than, I just don't know that whatever this board votes to create, I don't think there's going to be a question mark about the validity of it.
3, 2, 2, 1, 1, 1. Would that be consistent with the legislation if we, in addition to appointing the 7 of us, we also assign terms to it?
I think so.
My only worry is that we're leaving, I'm still in favor of 3 commissioners and 4 people from the community, because we need that input, we need that expertise. As I see it, we need strong leadership from libraries, greenways, parks, and I think by talking about terms, and I'm more in favor of, once we get the paperwork done, then go back hearing from the people in the community that want to be on it. And then, as Brian said, I get kicked off the island. Rather than saying terms right now. Because the terms do seem contrary to what.
Well, there's always the other way to look at it. I think that there could always be a gentleman's agreement that 3 or more members of this board appointed to the original CRA board will agree to resign. And then what choice do you have but to appoint someone new? And then this board wouldn't be taking action that may be viewed as contrary to the legislation.
I'm fine with that too, and I really agree with what Ellen said. I mean, I'm happy that there's 4 people who want to serve on it, but I think what is the right for the elected officials versus community members is a really good question. Whether we want it to be a majority of elected officials versus community, I think is something we should give some thought to. So I'm happy to move down the path of having this meeting, everyone's on there, as long as we don't close the doors on kind of having continued discussion about the right mix going forward once we have time to really give some more discussion to that question.
Nobody can ever say we don't discuss.
My original thought this too was it, it was like 7. I was hoping it would be a few more, but this was only 7 that probably not be in the best interest of the CRA, the community as a whole, city commission. Majority to come from the community and still have the stability of the 3 commissioners that would serve.
Well, I tend to agree. Let me just ask this. Legally, can we appoint on an interim basis and not get in terms, or would you recommend that we do terms? Because we go ahead and do it either way.
I think the only way to be bulletproof right off the bat is to do what Holly suggested, point, yes, 1 year, 1 year, 2 year, 2 year, 3, 3, 3. But again, I mean, I don't think that, I wouldn't recommend saying that it's going to be an interim board because the legislation doesn't specifically provide for an interim board.
Okay, I make a motion that we appoint Commissioner Frost, Commissioner Belcher, and Commissioner Gant to 3-year terms. We appoint Commissioner Jones and Commissioner Newman to a 2-year term, and Commissioner beginning 14, and Commissioner Fryer and Commissioner King to a 2-year term beginning. Oh, it says beginning though. So that's a problem.
That's when the terms run. That was tough language.
Yeah, that was hard language to swallow as well, but if we're counting everything from July 1st, 2013.
Okay.
And then we're saying when the terms start thereafter. That 2014 language in there says from that date, from 2014, that those seats run for 3 years.
Okay, okay. Now I would make a motion that we appoint Belcher, Gant, and Frost to 3-year terms, and Newman, Jones, King, and Fryer to 2-year terms. So,
Two of them have to be 1-year terms.
Okay,
I'm
they're
sorry.
probably 1 year.
okay, Fryer and King 1-year terms.
Second.
Okay. I know this is not the way we definitely discuss this, but it's an odd, unique situation. Is there any discussion? I think that's just need to get it. Okay, any other discussion? Let's shoot. Yeah, how about Friday at 1? Is that 4 of us can attend, say, or 2?
3?
3.
Ooh.
I guess it doesn't matter. I was.
Can we do 12? 11?
Oh, what about 8:30? 8:30. 8:30.
8:30 a.m. good for 4 commissioners?
8:30.
Does that work for you, Dave?
Pretty short meeting.
Okay.
You got something scheduled?
All right, and then our first meeting will be 8:30 Friday for the Madam Clerk, and,
Yes.
okay?
Since that's
And we'll
special
continue to
cause.
have extensive discussions about composition. We'll also instruct the clerk to immediately get the advertising for an unspecified number. We haven't really resolved that tonight. Unspecified number of spots on the commission. And we will, as Commissioner Newman said, a gentleman's agreement.
And this
There will be
is
something.
48 hours, it's special call, so we have to just let it pop it out.
Okay, the agenda for Friday would be non-elected chairman, and I guess that's only the order of
And
business.
authorize him to execute.
Authorize.
Yeah.
That'd be it.
Members of this board.
Okay.
And then we meet
Hear
here.
that? All right, any other discussion? Can we get the vote? Okay. Thank you. The last item on our agenda is board. Let's know we've got the waste, got two matters from consent. Waste.
Sorry, Chairman, did we vote?
Motion and second, my mistake. All those in favor of appointing those individuals as designated, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. We will move forward. Thank you. Sorry. No, thank you. That's a pretty good question. Resolution regarding the authorization of agreement between Buncombe and CBM Smith for organic waste processing feasibility study. Mr. Creighton. Now, I appreciate as if Ms. Ball does not sit through enough meetings with city council, and thank you for sitting one of our longer.
Mr. Chairman, board members, I want to talk to you tonight about, as you mentioned, the feasibility study to do a processing, organic waste processing. Kind of give you a little bit of background. A couple months ago, Kathy Ball, who's assistant city manager, called me and basically wanted to talk about a partnership in doing a study with the city and the county working together to look at the feasibility of dealing with organic waste, mostly of it coming from city residents and also a brush. The purpose of the study is to go through and to look at collection methods, obviously modified vehicles or as a separate collection, containers, once the material is picked up, how's it transferred, and the processing facility itself. Is the county interested in that, or is it a private individual that does that? Kind of look at those different options. One of the main things is that we've got to look at is to see what the percentage of that organic materials in the waste stream. So that's going to actually take physically going through a selection of trucks and just to see what is comprised there. But overall, we're going to look at the cost of collection, the cost impact to the city on doing it, the cost impact on the county, both percentage waste loss. If that material is taken out and goes someplace else, what effect does that have on the tipping fee? And also, what's the impact if we're a partner in this and we do a facility, how does that impact our tipping fees? And also, do we look at having a separate tipping fee for organic waste? And I guess last and most importantly is what's the finished product? What do you do with it? What market is out there? Is there a revenue stream for that, or is it just a market that people will take it? So that's what we want to look at in the study. Just a side note, I was looking in the U.S. Today last Thursday. There's an article in there saying that there's 180 entities in the United States that are doing organic composting. New York City's looking at it. San Francisco's been doing it for quite some time. So it's kind of that new trend out there to say, okay, here's a stream that is going into the landfill, it's being buried. Is there something we can do with it? So I'd like to ask Kathy just come up and say a few words as far as from the city side of it, and then if you've got any questions, we'd be more happy to address them. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, Vice Chairman, and members of the board, thank you for letting me be here. We're excited. The city has taken an initiative on to try to reduce the material that we take to the landfill, and we've been very successful in the recycling program. The material that we've been able to divert from the landfill has been large in volume, but not necessarily in weight. So our next step was to explore and look at the ability to do residential composting. And in order to do that, we have a couple of challenges with that. One of them is where to take it and then what to do with it afterwards. We approached the county and said we would love the opportunity to be able to look at your facility so that even if we're not taking it and putting it in the landfill, maybe we're running it across the scales and putting it in some kind of a composting facility at the landfill site. And that would benefit both the city and the county so that revenues wouldn't be lost from the county in tipping fees. So when we approached John and had the discussion, we saw it as an opportunity for both of us to have success. So we've worked to this point to bring you this agreement that city would pay half the cost, county half the cost, and then we'd be able to come together and see how this could possibly work together. So I appreciate the opportunity to come here. I have enjoyed and continue to enjoy a great working relationship with Montgomery County.
Let me end up by saying that the feasibility study cost is $99,200. And like I say, that would be split both between the city and the county.
Okay, any questions?
And then our side would come from our enterprise fund?
Professional services.
Is that 99,000 split between the city and the county?
Yes, sir.
One thing we can do to deal with our waste, if we always want to park them, it's a good cost, so it's only a wonderful program. Any other discussion, comment? Any motion? Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Newton, second by Commissioner Frost. Any other discussion? All those in favor of approving the resolution, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion is approved, 7-0. School Capital Commission Fund Project Ordinance. Thank you, Ms. Paul. I'm sorry that we didn't, she sits through enough meetings. I'm sorry you had to sit a little bit longer on this one. Thank you. Thanks for your good work with the city. If you just tell us what this, I think, we want to hear what this ordinance is and what it means to.
Can't hear you back here.
Turn your mic on.
Yes, it's the next, it's right above grant project ordinance, the School Capital Commission Fund project ordinance. And I think it was connected with the Article 39.
Are there any other questions about Article 39? In Enka County, there are 4 articles of tax. Article 39 is the 1 cent tax that is paid. Half of that's generated in Buncombe County goes to the School Capital Commission Fund and funds school capital projects. And that's the fund that will be used to pay for this land purchase.
And this is just the paperwork to verify what we've just done with the intermediate school.
That's correct.
Site purchase. So we're just doing the paperwork now. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
Motion by Commissioner Belcher, is there a second?
Yeah, the one we just did.
Yes. Second by Commissioner King. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion is approved, 7-0.
I have a question just from a process standpoint. So this was the budget, basically the budget amendment to execute this. This was on the consent agenda, and I appreciate it being pulled. I learned a little bit about different pools of funding, how they work together. But had this not been pulled from the consent agenda, in the unlikely event that we had approved the consent agenda, but then not voted to approve the land purchase option, I don't know, I guess my question is, when we have a budget amendment that's directly linked to an agenda on item, shouldn't they be, I don't know, voted on kind of together?
Usually it is like a bullet underneath it. I mean, it's another line underneath it. Usually that's what I was wondering why it's in the consent.
Board appointments, Asheville Buncombe Regional Sports Commission. We have one appointment. Any nominations?
I'd nominate John Craig.
Are there any other nominations? All those in favor of appointing Mr. Creighton, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Mr. Creighton is appointed, 7-0. Thank you. One more task for us. Crime Stoppers Board of Directors, there's one vacancy. Is there a nomination?
I'd like to nominate Andrea Block.
Ms. Block has been nominated. Any other nominations? All those in favor of Ms. Block being appointed to Crime Stoppers, and one vacancy, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Ms. Block is so appointed. Announcements, we need a closed session tonight.
Yes. 4 matters tonight. Closed session, General Statute 143-318-11A, under subsection 3, regards to current lawsuit, Buncombe County CVS 12-5118, that's the Town of Black Mountain, Buncombe County versus Lexon Insurance Company and Bond Safeguard Insurance Company. That's a defaulted subdivision to settings where the homeowners through the town are suing to try to get infrastructure money for the failed subdivision infrastructure. The second item under subsection 3 is Hannah versus Buncombe County. That's an industrial, that's a workers' comp matter, X63456 and file X70617. Also under subsection 4, we have an economic development matter to discuss on possible renegotiation of an economic development agreement. And under subsection 6, a personnel matter. Regarding the personnel matter, I don't know whether there will be any action coming out of closed session or not.
All right, thank you. We'll ask for a motion after I read the announcements. The next meeting of the board will be August 27th. This is a change from our regular scheduled meeting due to several commissioners and the county manager being out of town. That meeting will begin at 4:30. Commission meetings can be seen on BC TV Charter Cable Channel 2, AT&T UVerse Channel 99, live on buncombecounty.org during the meetings, or online anytime at buncombecounty.org. Is there a motion to go into closed sessions for the reasons stated by the county attorney? So moved. Motion by Commissioner King, is there a second? Second by Commissioner Fryer. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We will be in closed session. Good.
Better not. I'm hungry too. Your appetite? Oh, there's food back there.
All righty, it is 8:22. We're back in. Is there a motion to go back into open session? Motion by Commissioner Frost. Is there a second? Second by Vice Chair Jones. Is there any discussion? We will not be taking any action on any of the items we discussed in closed session. And so is there a motion to adjourn? Motion by Commissioner Belcher, second by Commissioner Jones. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. We are adjourned until August 27th.